a look at the lap time set by Daniele Brambilla, Sean Bennett, and Michi Hoyer. Oh, sorry. Sean Bennett, Michi Hoyer, and Dan Long.
Oh my goodness me. I've never seen anything quite like that.
Yeah.
They've got exactly the same time for 7th place. That's quite remarkable, that is.
Yeah, 3 drivers, 41.961, and Daniele Brambilla is pretty much there as well with a 931, so... It's disgustingly close, yeah.
That is disgustingly close, yeah.
We've got a lot of sets of close drivers. We've got the top 4, then we've got from 5th all the way down to 9th, and then we've got pretty much everyone else.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. It's 300 separating 4 cars. That's quite remarkable. But
it's not even, is it? It's... Oh, actually, yeah, 300 separating 4 cars. For some reason I thought you were saying 3 cars. But is it just me? Or is that track looking rather shiny?
Shiny? Well, I would love to tell you, but I haven't got a clue what it looks like right now.
I don't either, to be honest.
No, it looks shiny all the time, to be honest. Anyway, we'll see. We did see raining practice if you were with us earlier on. It started to drizzle. I don't know if it was drier earlier on in that session or not. And I'm not really sure how the weather works on ACC. Is it from real life, or is does somebody set it, or what? I don't really know what happens there, but yeah, somebody will tell me probably. As Leon Otaki's just gone a little bit closer to his teammate. He's just 15 thousandths away now, which is pretty close to the Euronics, and it shows to me that they've probably been practicing together if they've been able to get that close to each other on lap time.
Yep, and just as we say that, Tim Yarshall, he's actually improving a little bit. And, you know, we talked about how tonight seems to be Euronics versus Musto, and if you're a neutral viewer or a Euronics fan, this is exactly what you want to see, because this is really going to close the championship as much as possible, and it's probably going to mean that Burst Esports Simplexity are ahead of Musto still after this race, which, again, as a neutral fan, is what you want to see, considering the fact that Musto have been the quicker team over the last, you know, I would say 3 races.
Yeah, they have. They probably deserved to win at Bathurst, if that was 3 races ago. I think it was. Yeah, it was. So they probably deserve. Well, although it was early on in the race, so it's hard to tell what would have happened.
They would have deserved at least some points, not a DNF.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, they were spun around in the end by one of the Butler Powell cars. I think it was Johannes Weiss who spun him round in the end, but I can't quite remember. It was nearly a month ago now, or maybe even more. But yeah, they've won the last 2 races. The second team to win 2 races in a row. Burst Esports managed that at Brands Hatch and Zolder, of course. So things were going well for them back then, but yeah, things obviously not going to go well for them tonight, given they're not going to score any points, and Musto going to try and make history by winning 3 races in a row, and Euronics continuing to try and get some more points and get some more podiums, because they've scored 4 podiums in the last 4 races, finishing inside the top 2 in all of them. So I can't see that duck being broken today, actually, considering the pace they've got. Tim Yarshall is 3/10 quicker than everybody right now. Very impressive from him indeed, and as I said, I can't see them being denied their 5th podium in a row, although saying that, you know, surprises always do happen in this series, it seems, and you know, predictions can go down the drain pretty quickly.
Yeah. And to be fair, Musto GD Esports are the only team to have got that many podiums in a row Euronics, are the only team to have got 4 podiums in a row. I mean, Musto would have been there if it wasn't for Bathurst. They could have said that they had 5 in a row, but you know, that's racing. At the end of the day, you never know what's going to happen, and you've got to keep your nose out of trouble, regardless of whether you're at fault or whether someone else is at fault.
Yeah, exactly. It's just about avoiding those incidents, really. Unfortunately, they weren't able to do that, but Pilo Kamato, currently watching him on a 2/10 improvement, which would get him ahead of Leon Otaki, but he still can't get anywhere near Tim Yarshall. We've still got 7 minutes to go, so he can return to the pit lane and then get back out again because there is time. But he's going to come out the final corner now, and I would expect him to jump up into 2nd place here, as he's just going to go onto the front straight now, and he is going to go into 2nd place, a 40.4 and he's now just 1/10 away from Tim Yarshall. He's going to have to find some time to get up to Yarshall. I can't see the 16-year-old being pushed off that pole position from here.
Yeah. Tim Yarshall, fantastically quick driver, has made a couple of driver errors in the last few races, which have resulted in those drive-through penalties for the side of Euronics Gaming Team Intel. However, those top four still reasonably close, and then an almighty gap down to 5th place. 6.5 minutes left of qualifying.
Yeah, we'll see if anyone can improve. I believe Sean Bennett's on a bit of an improvement here. 2 tenths to the good right now, but he's still got the final little section. Let's see if there's any amusing corner names. The Crocodiles, that is strange. Yep. For turn 13, you saw the hairpin there. Turn 14 is apparently a corner, even though it's not really. And that was turn 15, the fast right-hander. Quite a nice one, I would imagine, to drive. Not saying that, I've never driven it myself. And then the final corner. Just a bog-standard hairpin, really, or kind of an open hairpin as he comes over the line now. Can't see him breaking into the top 4, but he does still improve, a 41.6. Just edges himself a little bit further away from Brambilla in 6th and Vice in 7th.
And I'm actually kind of curious. Does Tim Yarshall and Pierluca Amato have more under the hoods of their Audis? Because we've been saying over the last 2 races, just how much quicker Yarshall and Amato have been over everyone else, and we're talking, nearly a second clear of everyone. It's been phenomenal pace that they've been able to show in qualifying, so I'm kind of curious if they have a little bit more pace available to them.
Well, you say that, but Leon Otaki and Alessio Piscetto are not that far behind.
No, they're not.
But it definitely seems like Euronics and Musto have got themselves dialed in right here. Way faster than everybody else at the moment. Sean Bennett is getting a little bit closer, but that gap's still 8 tenths. It's hard to imagine anyone outside of the top 4 really breaking into it here, because they're just so far away from everybody else. But yeah, they are taking this seriously, of course, the likes of Euronics and Musto, some of the biggest teams in sim racing indeed, so you wouldn't really expect anything less from them. But I think the absence of Simply Race Sancho is really exacerbating this effect, because we've only got Dan Long here and that's not even Simply Race, is it? So the fact that they're not here is really making it look a lot worse than it actually is in terms of the pace, because Simply Race Sancho would often be filling that gap we can see right now between Musto and Euronics and the rest of the field, as Daniel Fromel just gets himself into that little gap there in 5th position.
Yeah, and we're missing Burst Esports Complexity and the Simply Race teams, which would have been those 3 teams that kind of bridging the gap between Musto and Euronics to the rest of the field. So that's why it does look like there is this chasm, I guess you could call it, of time that is not being occupied really. Something else to bring up is Alessio Piscetto is back after a week out. He was replaced by Trevor Jackson last time out at Laguna Seca, so good to see Piscetto back behind the wheel of the Musto team.
Yeah, he's going to be pairing with Daniele Primavera here today. Or at least
a week out, he was replaced by Trevor Jackson.
In the what do you call it, team speak, and he is going to be driving with Daniele Primavera. So Trevor Jackson's going to be put back in his box for this one. He says he's Italian, actually, but it doesn't sound like a very Italian name, although you're half Italian and you don't sound very Italian either, so I guess that's not really saying much at all. But there you go, that's just my observation.
Was this Trevor Jackson?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, we brought him in for an interview at the end of the last race, and I'm pretty sure he sounded American to me, so I mean, my guess would be his parents are Italian and they moved to America at some point, so yeah, I mean, he's still Italian as a result, but it's always fun, isn't it, when we think, okay, you definitely sound like you're from XYZ place, and then you speak to them, it's like, wait, hold on a second, I'm missing something.
Yeah, you do jump to conclusions quite quickly. It's not very good, really. I shouldn't do that.
No,
but,
we shouldn't. We should be completely neutral. But it happened.
I just did. Sorry. But anyway, we'll move on. Michi Hoyer looks like he's improving at the moment, and he does so into 7th position for him, a 1:41.7. And things are getting very crowded. If ever things go a little bit dry up the front of the field, then I think we can pretty much rely solely on the midfield to provide the entertainment, because they're going to be so close together. When this race gets underway, it's going to be very exciting to watch indeed.
Well, at the moment, we're talking about 3/10 separating Sean Bennett in 6th place all the way down to Dan Long in 10th place. So we're definitely going to be having some battles, but this front of the field is not going to be drying out. It's going to be spicy. It's going to be entertaining as well. So, Tim Yarshall, Pierluca Amato, Euronics versus Musto. We have been waiting 3-4 races to see these two teams battling at the front of the field. Hopefully, we don't get any penalties. Hopefully, we don't see any incidents. And hopefully, we can just see 2 hours of pure, fantastic racing between, well, arguably the top 2 teams in the series.
Yeah, definitely. If you discount AAA and Burst Esports as the big 4, really, you would say, given that they're not here today, then you could definitely say that as, don't forget, the number 71 Musto team only needs 2nd place I say only need 2nd place, that's going to be still difficult for them to get, but they need 2nd place to get this championship lead away. They're 15 points adrift right now, but with Burst Esports not competing today, they could move themselves into the championship lead, or to make things even better for us, they could finish 3rd, which would be rather kind, and then we would have a tie going into the final 4 races, which would be, or 5 races, I can't remember, I think it's 4, going into the final 4 races, which will be very exciting indeed. So yeah, I'm personally secretly hoping for that, really.
Yeah, and of course 15 points would see Musto GD tied with Burst Esports Simplexity. However, due to Burst Esports Simplexity having 3 race wins compared to Musto GD's 2, they would still be at the top from technicalities. Just taking a look, at the moment, Tim Yarshall, he's at 2/10 up on his best time, and I guess he does have a little bit more under the hood of that Audi. He makes his way through Ingwe onto the start-finish straight. What's it going to be? It's going to be disgusting for sure, and it's a 140 flat. What a lap from Yarshall.
He very, very nearly got into the 39s then, which would have been absolutely incredible. I don't think Pierluca Amato is going to have anything to answer for that. The time has run out now. You can see the checker flags all over your screen and next to the guys who have already finished. A lot of guys in the pit lane as well, especially down the midfield. But Pierluca Amato is trying here. I'm not sure if he's invalidated his lap time or something. He definitely still looks like he's pushing, but I can't see any time gaps, so I've got no idea how well he's going. He could be improving by 5 or 6 tenths right now. I just don't know. He looks like he's pushing anyway.
Well, Pesqueda was almost improved, but he went sideways on the exit of Cheetah, so he's only going to be able to do a 41 dead. So it is just this man, Pierluca Amato, who is left. He's made his way through the cop, and he'll make his way down in towards a mine shaft, and now up in towards the crocodile. Is he improving? Well, he's pretty much dead even with his personal best right now.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very close indeed to find out whether he can actually get through on this or actually get into first position. He needs about a 5/10 improvement if he's going to manage it. Goes a little bit wide into the final corner. Not ideal. I think he will improve, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. He's going to come over the line now, and he can't even improve, I'm afraid. So 2nd place for Pierluca Amato. But we are about to go into the race, so let's take a very quick commercial break, and then on the other side, we will have the race here at Kyalami. Don't go anywhere.
Communication. It started out as a conversation between 2 people, but as time went by and people's needs became greater, they developed more ways to communicate. Businesses today need to minimize incomplete connections. Therefore, it is critical that they provide optimal service. Xilinx desktop, mobile and web applications can process everything from normal calls and callbacks to chats, emails, and social media inquiries. Let Xilinx liberate your business.
Simplexity is a Danish designer and manufacturer of high-grade sim racing platforms. Their 3 different levels of platforms come in a variety of colors and configurations. Choose from the V4, built from 40 by 40mm extruded aluminium profiles, the V8 built from 80 by 40mm profiles, and the high-tier V12 built from 160 by 40mm extruded aluminium profiles. Prices range from 470 to 750 euros. Go to facebook.com/simplexity.eu and start a messenger chat to inquire more about the options for colors and customization.
Do you like games? Do you like esports? Do you hate watching laggy streams of tournaments on 13-inch screens? Oh my god! Of course you do. But you don't have to worry about that anymore. He has a jump, son!
Welcome back everybody to the GTR24 Sprint Series here from Kyalami, and as you can see it is pouring it down right now. I can't actually see what's going on, so Yusuf, you're going to have to take this one, but wow, the conditions look absolutely horrendous out there.
The conditions are horrendous, Ewan. Oh boy, we have got our first wet weather session of the Sprint Series. And Ewan, we can talk consistently about who's quicker, Yarshall or Brioni. Is it Musto? Is it Bursies? Is it Eurix? AAA? But it's all down the window. Everything we've seen until now is completely pointless because the rain has come down for the first time. Setups would have completely changed. We don't know who has got better wet weather setups, and the drivers are about to start on the formation lap, or I should say on the rolling start. This is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, it really is. It's going to be a very, very difficult start for everybody, you have to say. Not really sure what is on earth is going to happen here, because you can just see the conditions, how bad they are right now, and see who is going to make out the first corner alive here. But we're going to come out of the final corner. Let's see what's going to happen into the first one as we go across the line now. It's Yarshall versus Amato, we believe, on the straight. And now let's see who's going to win down into turn number one. They're going to wait, and they all fan out across the road. Look at that. Everybody's searching for a bit of vision, you have to say, because the spray is absolutely horrendous at the moment as they all power down into turn number one.
Brioni's having a look.
Oh, it's very close, but Yarshall shuts the door, firmly keeping that first position. Got a battle going on for third position as well, with Otaki versus Alessio Puschedu. There's a spinner in the background. Couldn't identify who that was, but Otaki looks like he's losing a little bit of positions, and these guys have actually managed to keep it out of the wall and out of each other actually pretty well here.
Yep, and Puschedu, I think, has dropped a place or two, and he's right on the back of Otaki. No, so he's still in a fourth place, but he's going to have a look right now.
Yeah, he is. Let's see if he can do it. He has actually gone to the outside now through this sweeping middle sector. He goes for it and he gets that position now into the actual S's 8 and 9. So, yeah, a very difficult place to make a move there actually at 6 and 7. But he actually did manage it. Very good from him. So, looks like, oh, look at him. At the moment, Otaki really struggling in these conditions. He's now got Sean Bennett, I believe, in the Aston Martin right in behind him, and it's only a matter of time until he gets through, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I'm just keeping an eye on Daniel from just trying to see where he is. I think he's behind Sean Bennett right now. I just can't quite tell. Someone's having a little look into, I believe that's the left hand of a mineshaft. Someone's running really far out wide, and that's the number 112 car going completely off the circuit through Cheetah.
Yeah, he's lost a load of positions there, down to P6 as another one of the Aston Martins goes through, possibly Daniel Fromelt in that one, but no, not Daniel Fromelt, sorry, Miles Dixon probably went through, and look at that in the background, Daniel Fromelt is into the pit lane for Euronics, so that is not good from him at all. As we go down the straight once more, it's very close indeed, and one of the Aston Martins nearly losing it on the straight. Sean Bennett really struggling to control his car right now.
Yeah, it does seem that he is, as he runs really hot on the brakes down in towards turn 2. We'll be able to keep it out from running into Miles Dixon, but it's Tim Yarshall who leads from Gianluca Amato, Alessio Pesquedu in 3rd, and Leon Otaki in 4th.
Yeah, those guys really spreading out the front of the field actually at the moment, but Michi Hoyer is starting to form a bit of a train behind him. Daniel Fromelt definitely one of those who has lost out the most, but Johannes Weiss trying to make up these positions right now for Butler Powell. Hoyer goes a little bit wide through Sunset and now into the next corner. It turns gone off the road there on the wet grass on the left hand side. That is really not good news, and you can see in the foreground as well, it looks like Leon Otaki still losing positions. He's getting spun around. I think he
Sean Bennett, Miles Dixon, or was that Michi Hoyer who's gone sideways? But contact between the two of them through, I think that was Barbecue where they made the contact. That is absolutely dreadful.
Yeah, they're all really struggling out there at the moment, and things are getting very frisky back in the pack. Look at this right now. Porsche will be very good in these conditions, actually. You can see being driven by Dan Long with the traction that Porsche has, and we continue to talk about it because the engine hanging over the rear wheels. It has incredible rear traction, and whereas these guys are going to be turning the traction control up and trying to squirm their way out of the
Otaki's run wide.
Going for this as Leon Otaki goes wide, and now he's going to get swallowed by another load of cars. Johannes Weiss has got through. Now Michi Hoyer is trying to get through and off the road there for Leon Otaki, I believe that was. He's having an absolute disaster in these conditions.
Otaki is struggling so much, as is everyone to be honest right now, Ewan, but Otaki drops down behind Johannes Weiss, who is now up into 6th place if I'm not mistaken. There he goes through turn 1, and he's got Michi Hoyer and Dan Long behind him, but it's still the Audis of 1st, 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, they're doing really well at the moment. Miles Dixon has made a good start there into 4th position for Pulse Sim Sport there. That's a good result, or good early laps from those guys. Currently watching Michi Hoyer again to try and see if Dan Long can actually get through, but Leon Otaki here really struggling. You see, his last lap was a 2 minutes 2, whereas those around him dipping into the 54s, so that's 8 seconds he may have lost on that last lap. He is not used to these conditions at all, and to me it looks like he hasn't practiced in these conditions at all, and why would you? Because we haven't had a wet race so far this season. This is the first chance we've seen for the cars to be in the wet conditions, and we're really seeing now who has practiced the wet weather and who hasn't.
Yeah, we are indeed, and you know what they say, Ewan, the wet weather brings out the best in the best drivers, and right now Yarshall is looking like the best driver. He is absolutely flying. 4.3 seconds is the gap between Yarshall and Gianluca Amato.
Yeah, he's really going and pushing out that lead right now, doing all the right things at the moment for Euronics. And to be fair, Amato's not having a bad drive either, but he is being caught by his Musto teammate. Can't imagine that those two are going to fight too hard, but with Dixon bearing down on both of them.
Sean Bennett just absolutely lost the rear through Crocodile, and now he's got Johannes Weiss on the outside through the final corner. They're side by side on the start-finish straight.
Yeah, I'm not sure where or how that is, how that on earth that has happened at the moment, but he has actually lost that position. So Weiss is up 1 and down 1 goes Sean Bennett, but Gianluca Amato's pace, by the way, is not looking that great right now in the Audi. He's got 2 cars stacked up behind him. One of them is Miles Dixon, who is absolutely flying right now. Just going to see the last lap time of his, a 51.0. That's nearly the fastest of everyone. Obviously, Tim Yarshall takes that, but other than him, Miles Dixon is absolutely flying at the moment.
Miles Dixon right on the back of the two Musto drivers. Remember what we said, Ewan, if you're just a neutral racing fan, you want to see Euronics win the race with Musto behind it. We're getting exactly that. This is going to make the championship super tight coming out of around 8 of the championship here at Kyalami. Three-way battle for second place. The Italians lead Miles Dixon.
Yeah, they do at the moment, and they're trying to fend him off. I'm not sure how long they're going to be able to keep this up, though, and the Aston Martins, by the way, definitely look to be very, very impressive, as Otaki looks to have had even more problems away from our cameras. He's down in last position at the moment. Despite qualifying in 4th place, he's now all the way down the order in dead last. He's just behind his teammate Daniel Froment, who's also had a disaster as Brusquetto goes wide, and now Miles Dixon's going to get through on the inside into turn 14 and 15, and he has got that position now, so Miles Dixon up another position.
Yep, they make their way through Mineshaft and now down in towards the final corner, pardon me, and that's Miles Dixon up a place, up into 3rd, and now he can try to close down and overtake the next Musto GD car. And I tell you what, Miles Dixon, he might be smelling a little win for himself.
Yeah, he may be, but he's still losing time for Tim Yarshall. That is the key thing here. He's currently 8 seconds behind him. If you take that, if you add together the 7.2 and the 8/10 there, he's 8 seconds behind, and this is going to cost him time. Sticking behind Amato first, and then having to get through is going to really slow him down. So he might have a 10-second deficit to close here, which would not be good at all. But Michi Hoyer has actually got a position from somewhere. It was probably Otaki actually, but he's now right on the back of Sean Bennett, who's under a bit of pressure, and Dan Long is also here. So we've got battles going on all over the place at the moment. And these wet weather conditions really put the goods for us right now, as everybody seems to be going wide at Sunset Corner there.
Yeah, everyone really does seem to be running wide, and now look at Dan Long, he's all over the back of Michi Hoyer. Through the left-hander they go over Clubhouse, or pardon me, they make their way through the S's, and now down into turns 10 and 11. This is big braking zone, bigger chance to find a move, but nothing will come of anything just yet. Does anyone run wide? Seemingly not.
No, not just for now. I believe we're down to 15 as well. Daniele Brambilla's retired from the race. I'm afraid it's not been a good season for those guys at all there in the number 22. Not scoring points in many of the races. I don't know if they've scored points at all yet. I think they have done actually, but I couldn't tell you where. But they've had a pretty disastrous season, it has to be said. And they've unfortunately retired again, so we are down to 15, but the battles with the cars that we have got are absolutely enthralling at the moment. It seems that Vice is actually catching Brusquetto as well, so that is good news for the race, because it means we've got battles going on all over the place, as if we needed any more battles to go on right now.
Yep, and in front of Dan Long, and Michi Hoyer still closing in onto Sean Bennett. Dan Long just dropping a little bit further back, but I don't think we can take our eyes away from the front, because has Miles Dixon, he's done it. He's already done it.
Yeah, he's got it. I didn't see where that happened, but it happened very, very recently. I'd imagine it would have gone into turn number 1. But now the big question is, can Miles Dixon get anywhere near Tim Yarshall, who was a 49.9 from the German on the last lap? And despite following Amato, Miles Dixon managed to 50.2. So what can he do in clean air? That's the big question on this particular lap.
The Italians are not liking the wet weather, and there's another German closing in, Johannes Weiss, on the back of Alessio Brusquetto. It doesn't really rain in Sardinia, so I don't think Brusquetto really knows what rain is, to be honest, but he's doing a decent job so far, and he just needs to bring in those points. Remember, your Bercy Sports Complexity not racing tonight, and it's all about picking up the points, and they're closing in that gap here at Kyalami.
Yeah, obviously they're not going to be overtaken by their teammates, Brusquetto. They're going to be obviously supporting that car now. With only 5 rounds to go, it's kind of getting to the crunch time where those Musto boys really need to get in order and get that car the most points possible. So, you know, they really need to start ordering their cars like that way. Hannes Weiss really seems to be closing on everybody. And by the way, Brusquetto's pass did happen.
Oh, big moment from Johannes Weiss. He completely loses the back end through Cheetah Corner. Somehow he keeps it on the circuit. That was the save of the race.
so far. I think we're going to see many more of them though, and you can already see Miles Dixon on the right hand side there going over to the wet line to get his tyres cooled. So these guys already struggling with some overriding tyre temperatures, and they are a big thing here on this game. If you get your tyre temperatures wrong and you get your tyre pressures wrong, then you've had an absolute disaster and you're not going to be anywhere in this race. But meanwhile, Dan Long was incredibly close to Michihaya as they came across the line, but he couldn't use any kind of straight line speed there. The Aston Martin just kind of outdid it on the straight there. But yeah, on the lap ago, it was it was Amato who was overtaken by Dixon, and Amato didn't really put up much of a fight. So that pass was kind of coming really, and when it happened, Amato didn't put much of a fight up.
Yep, well, Amato just seems to be struggling that a little bit, and I guess Amato and Pesquedu, they're just trying to pick up the points, but they have to be careful because as things stand, Euronics are really going to be closing in on to Musto in the championship. Well, it's 10 points that they're going to gain, not enough to completely close the gap, but there will just be only about 20 points separating the two of them after this is done if things remain as they stand, as Michihaya all over the back of Sean Bennett, who runs a little bit wide through the left hand, and now they're side by side as they make their way down towards a mine shaft.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting battle, this one now, and there are, as we said earlier, battles going on kind of all over the place here. I believe we lost somebody else from the order. I wonder if that is maybe,
Michihaya, I think he's done it.
He's got through, has he? He goes wide, does Bennett, and now through goes Michihaya, but look at the cutback. Oh, gets a little bit wiggly on the corner there, and now down the inside goes Dan Long. Could be 3 into 1, and it doesn't fit. A bit of a spin, a half spin, but Sean Bennett manages to save it. We'll see if Dan Long gives that position back, or does he continue on with it? He just actually doesn't need to, because they're side by side, and he does look like he gave that one back.
Yeah, Dan Long slots in behind Sean Bennett. We have got races left and right and centre right now for round 8 of the sprint series. As wide goes Sean Bennett. This is going to give Dan Long a fantastic chance, but not quite enough. He closes in, but that is all that is going to be in the battle for 7th place.
Yeah, by the way, Daniel Ricciardo has unfortunately left the race. I think it was him anyway who has left the race now. Because yeah, it is. So we're down to 14. The wet weather really taking some prisoners here, but Sean Bennett, after looking quite strong early on, he managed to get his order up quite quickly. He's now back into the 54, sorry, whereas those around him are doing 51s.
Oh, Sean Bennett's gone wide again. Dan Long is going to look down the inside into the left-hander, into the S's, and that's Dan Long up into 7th place.
Yeah, that was coming really. Dan Long, it was only a matter of time until he got through into 7th position. So, yeah, Sean Bennett's just continuing to go backwards, and Alan Hansen's now going to be licking his lips probably, even though he's nearly 15 seconds back already. So, we will see about that one. But now going back up to the front of the field, it looks like Amato, Pesquedu and Rice are still very close at hand here, and Pesquedu is going to be very useful here for Amato because they're all Musto cars, of course. Sorry, 2 of them, the front 2 are. So if Pesquedu can get in the way and be as annoying as possible for Vice, then it means Amato will get a little bit of breathing space in this race, possibly.
Yep, and I tell you what, Musto, I think they remember Butler Pal Motorsports, and not fondly either, as Johannes Weiss is going to look for the outside Pesquedu, or pardon me, he goes down the inside, won't be able to find anything. But as I was saying, we've seen these 2 teams come in contact with each other. It wasn't the 556 Butler Pal, it was the 557, but I'm sure Musto won't be making that discrimination between the 2.
I thought it was the 556 personally, but I can't exactly remember. I've slept since then, so I don't really remember what actually happened. But I do remember what happened, I just can't remember who it was. But yeah, they may well be holding a grudge there. I'll be surprised though, considering it is about a month away, or it was a month ago, should I say. So possibly not, but we will see. As a nearly big spin there for Pesquedu. He just got his right-hand side tyres on the grass there, and that's opened the door for Johannes Weiss, who's up the inside into the S's, an incredibly fast section, but he has got that move done now, and he is into 4th position.
Is indeed a good move coming through from Johannes Weiss, and you know, in the wet, you make that mistake, it becomes so easy for the guy behind to find a way through, and that's exactly what Vice pulls off. And all you have to do is just keep it tidy, keep it on the track, just like Team Yarshall is doing. And look at the lap times Yarshall is putting out. He's 1.5 seconds quicker than anyone on the circuit practically. Team Yarshall is absolutely flying. 13 seconds up the road from Miles Dixon.
Yeah, he's really running away right now. Miles Dixon has not been able to make any inroads. He's just gone faster again on this lap. A 49.1. That is a second quicker than Miles Dixon's last lap. Let's see what Dixon can do in response if he's getting any quicker as well. But I know he can't. He lost 1.3 seconds on that lap, which is a large margin indeed to be losing. So yeah, pretty disappointing from them. But it definitely looks like a dry line is forming. We're being told that a dry line is now forming, so are we going to be able to see the dry tyres towards the end of this race? Not entirely sure, but don't forget we can't really see the dry line, so I apologise if it's not actually there, but we're told it is, so we'll just take the word for it there really. But Dan Long still under pressure from Sean Bennett, and yeah, it does seem like everybody is getting just a little bit faster in terms of lap times now.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at the YouTube feed, and you know, I wouldn't say it's a dry line, it's just less wet. You're always going to see something like that when it's just pouring down heavily as water gets dispersed from the racing line. But look at Sean Bennett all over the back of Dan Long, and Sean Bennett wants to find a way through. The battle for 7 rages on.
Yeah, it does at the moment, and this is Team Rookie Monsters versus MSB racing the 112 Aston Martin, which they have used for almost all of the races so far this season, picking up points along the way as they try to pull to the outside now. Thought Dan Long was going to let him through there, but he was actually defending. He's gone far
run wide
into that hairpin there, and that was a very easy pass for Sean Bennett in the end, and Dan Long trying to fight back. He can't really. He just went so deep into that hairpin there that there was no chance he was going to retain the position.
Yep, Sean Bennett picks up the position, makes his way through Mineshaft and into the Crocodiles. He'll have that position pretty much in the bag. Dan Long though will just try to slot in behind for the time being, but Johannes Weiss has found his pace and he is closed right back in onto Pierluca Amato, and he's going to be wanting to find a way through. Pretty snappy.
Yeah, he is. He closed in by 8/10 on that previous lap, and now going down into Turn 1, I believe that is, and out of it now as well. So yeah, we'll see if this battle can continue. But the thing I'll be interested to see is if this gets dry enough for dry tyres, is it going to happen bang on the hour? And my immediate answer to that will be probably not, because things often don't work out quite that perfectly. So yeah, it's unlikely to actually happen like that. And you can see on the weather thing in the right top right, I don't really know what to call it. Oh, forecast. That's
weather forecast. Good job, Ewan.
In the top, thanks. In the top right at the moment, it still says there's going to be light rain for at least half an hour. So you would have to say that even after the rain stops, it's going to be 10-20 minutes until the dry line is dry and wide enough before we can actually get onto into dry tyres and get the lap times down again.
And here's the thing, Ewan, none of these drivers really know when that crossover is. None of them have experienced what it is going from the wet to the dry circuit. They don't know what that kind of a threshold is where you can risk it and go from those wets to the dries. So if we do get to that stage, which, to be honest, Ewan, I don't think we will. I think this is going to be a full wet race all the way to the end. But if we do get to that stage, it's going to be a complete gamble from so many teams as to when is the right moment to put on the dries.
Well, I would say that if you're down the field, then maybe it is worth going for that strategy on the dries. If you're really outside the points and nobody's really looking at you, you can actually gain a bit of, kind of stealthily gain a bit of an undercut on everybody if you're smart about it. But we'll see if anyone attempts that. Amato still defending from Vice, now down into turn number 1, and this is over third position. Obviously, this is the position that would tie Burst Esport and Musto GD Esport going into the next round, and that is a very exciting prospect going into the final 4 races. And after 8 rounds to be tied on points is pretty incredible, really.
Yeah, and well, it just shows how close the sprint series is right now. And don't forget, Euronics are in this battle as well. Yarshall, I can't stress this enough, but Yarshall is so darn fast. The man is on a mission. 48.7 last time around. The track is definitely getting a little bit quicker, and Miles Dixon finding pace as well at 49.4. Everyone setting their best time, so it doesn't look like, well, either they're just getting a little bit more comfortable with the track, or maybe the rain is easing up ever so slightly.
Yeah, I would say that it probably is right now. It definitely looks a little bit less wet than it did at the start of the race. I'm seeing a lot of green on my timing screens as well, which certainly suggests that we're getting a little bit drier. But don't forget, if you're watching on Facebook, got a bit of a vote going on right now. I think I know which one's going to win.
Yeah.
I know which one I'd vote for, but anyway, whether a wet race or a dry race is better.
You got the options wrong. It's wet race or wet race, isn't it?
Well, I suppose, yeah. That is a good point. Yeah, considering what we've seen so far, I think I know which one's going to win. As Amato not winning this battle, I'm afraid. Johannes Weiss gets through. He's just gone wide there, and I don't know if he let him through there or what was going on, but Amato just seemed to
run wide.
He just seemed to go wide and kind of let him have that position. He didn't seem to put up much of a fight at all, which is kind of surprising considering that's the position he needs to take over at least a tied championship lead.
Well, that's a Weiss up into third place. Pierluca Amato will slot in behind, and Musto, they are praying. They are praying for some dry weather because, you know, we're talking about Pierluca Amato and Alessio Pescedu. They were almost a second quicker than Weiss and Dixon in qualifying. And now they're so much slower in the race. And I'm curious as to whether, you know, Weiss and Dixon, they had wet weather setups. They knew that it was going to be wet or not. Because it's just such a massive turn of pace that we're seeing.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a massive turn in relative pace between everybody. Obviously, Tim Yarshall has stayed up front, and the other Uranix, Kyalami and Otaki's gone completely backwards, down in 12th at the moment, and already one lap down, so really not good. Wait, is he a lap down fully? I'm not entirely sure, but he's definitely close to being a lap down, even if he isn't right now, so anyway, yeah, he's really struggling out there, and it's hard to see him getting back from that, really, so it is a shame for him, but some things are changing in this race. Some haven't changed really from qualifying at all, and it definitely looks like Dan Long has had a bit of a mistake there, because after being all over the back of Sean Bennett, he's now 14 seconds down, and you'd have to say that only a spin would really do that.
Yeah, well, Alan Hansen hasn't closed up too much, but we do have a battle for fifth place. Michi Hoya on Alessio Pescedu, and Pescedu on the inside, around the outside goes Michi Hoya, and he's gonna get the job done as well. Fantastic stuff from the Aston Martin.
Yeah, I thought that the Audi was going to actually hit the inside curb and barrel back into the Aston Martin on the outside of it there. That really would not have been good at all. However, Pescedu and Hoya gave each other respectful racing room there, and they were allowed to make that, or Hoya was allowed to make that move. He's into fifth position now, and after struggling early on, Hoya now seems to be really getting into the groove of this one, and he's starting to make up the positions, as is Sean Bennett. So I just wonder if the Aston Martins are just taking a little bit of time to get up to speed and up to temperature and get themselves settled in, but once they are dialed in, there's no stopping them really, looking at their pace right now.
No, it doesn't seem that there is much stopping them, unless your name is Tim Yarshall, because then, well, you don't really need to stop because you're in your own little race right now. Still flying is Tim Yarshall. Might as well just give him some wings. 48.6 last time round, and, well, he's not quite improving on it this time round, but he does have himself a nice, almost a 17-second gap over Miles Dixon. We're not even halfway through this race. We're not even half an hour through this race yet, Ewan.
Yeah, we've had a load of action here, all at once at the start of the race, and it's continuing on with all these battles. You can see the margins. If you take out Tim Yarshall, the top 7 are really close together and running around very close as well. We've got Hansen and Biazizo for the wooden spoon down there at the back as well, so it's all going on right now. Just taking a look at the forecast in the top right, it definitely looks like that rain is going to stop in the next half an hour. So is it going to be dry enough by the time they have to make their driver swaps or not? That's the big question that I'll be thinking at this stage, because you do not want to be making 2 pit stops in a 2-hour race with GT3s. It just doesn't work like that. As Sean Bennett, just with superior traction down there at turn 12, turn 13, he tried to go up the inside for 15, but he couldn't quite do it. But Pescedu looks like he's struggling, and that Aston Martin looks just incredible on the traction.
Yeah, and as we said before, Musto GD will be praying that the rain stops ASAP. As Sean Bennett is just trying to get the slipstream from Alessio Pesquetto to make our way down the start-finish straight and down in towards the Crow Zone. Sean Bennett's not going to be able to do it this time round, but as you mentioned, that top right of your screen, you can see the weather forecast for the next 30 minutes. As Sean Bennett, he gets a really good run. He practically taps the back end of Pesquetto, and he's going to look down to the outside as he makes his way through Barbecue Corner.
Yeah, there's just nowhere to go for him there, really. It's kind of all flat-out corners there, of course, in GT3. Is that turn 2, 3, 4, 3 and 4, basically. That little chicane, the little shimmy in between 2 and 4. That's 5, sorry. But it's all flat out, and it makes it quite narrow. It's a bit wide for Pesquetto. Just got a bit of oversteer on the entry, and Sean Bennett does not need 2 invitations there. He is straight through, and now we'll see what he can do about Michi Hoyer just in front of him, and we'll see what Hoyer can do about Amato, because both Musto cars seem to be falling back, and it definitely seems like they've either developed a bad wet setup or they've not got one at all, because they're both going backwards almost simultaneously at the moment.
Yeah, and again, I just wonder what kind of setups have been picked up by the different teams here, because when that rain ends in 30 minutes, which I guess I was wrong and the rain will be ending, those guys who have picked the dry setup, they will be coming back into their own, and they might close back in Tim Yashiro. We might have an absolutely fantastic stadium finish for round 8 of the season.
Yeah, let's hope so, because that will be fantastic to watch. It's just a mystery, really, how Tim Yarshall is able to not only pull that out. I know Vice is actually going quite well in the Audi at the moment, and it definitely doesn't seem to be just an Audi thing, but Musto are going backwards, and all his Euronics teammates are going backwards as well. Leon Otaki had an awful start, and Daniel Fromo isn't even in the race anymore, so somehow he's pulling that Euronics and Audi car really up the order when it's not supposed to, really. But anyway, we've had half an hour already. It's kind of hard to imagine because we've had so much action going on, but you can be sure there's going to be a load more coming up in the next 90 minutes. Make sure you join us after this commercial break, where we will have 1 hour and 30 to go still of this fascinating race. We'll be back in a moment.
Simplexity is a Danish designer and manufacturer of high-grade sim racing platforms. There are 3 different levels of platforms come in a variety of colors and configurations. Choose from the V4, built from 40 by 40 mm extruded aluminium profiles, the V8 built from 80 by 40 mm profiles, and the high-tier V12 built from 160 by 40 mm extruded aluminium profiles. Prices range from 470 to 750 euros. Go to facebook.com/simplexity.eu and start a messenger chat to inquire more about the options for colors and customization.
Games? Do you like esports? Do you hate watching laggy streams of tournaments on 13-inch screens? Oh my god!
Of course you do. But you don't have to worry about that anymore.
He hasn't come, son!
Communication. It started out as a conversation between 2 people, but as time went by and people's needs became greater, they developed more ways to communicate. Businesses today need to minimize incomplete connections. Therefore, it is critical that they provide optimal service. Xilinx Desktop Mobile and web applications can process everything from normal calls and callbacks to chats, emails, and social media inquiries. Let Xilinx liberate your business.
Welcome back to the GTR24H Sprint Series here from Kyalami, and we've got big news in terms of the championship. Pierluca Amato is losing time and losing places as well, down into P number 6 right now with his teammate behind him. This is an absolute disaster in an opportunity they may well never get again to close in on Burst Esport.
Yep, exactly, Ewan, and a 59 was the time last round from Amato. He lost about 8 seconds, and well, this time round, Pierluca Amato back on the pace, so he must have just made a one-off mistake, but he's got Alessio Pesquero for company, just a couple of seconds behind. Something else that I wanted to mention, Leon Otaki, the man who got involved in incidents on lap 1, who fell to the back of the order, he is the fastest man on the circuit. A 48.5 is his best lap and is the best lap of everyone, and his last lap a 48.7, the only man in the 48s last time around.
Yeah, the question I've got about that is what on earth happened to him at the start of the race, and why didn't he do this at the start? That's
he was involved in an incident, wasn't he?
Well, he was also going backwards pretty fast as well.
I think there was some kind of contact, and he had to dive into the pits to get it fixed.
Right. Okay. Well, there you go then. But
oh, Pesquero. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that. I'm currently watching Otaki because he's closing on Alan Hansen for points, but. Yeah, it's there's a load of pretty sketchy moments going on around the circuit at the moment, actually.
Yeah, Alessio Pesquero went completely sideways into the S's, and well, he kept it on the circuit as everyone seems to be doing somehow. I don't know how they do it, but these guys are, well, actual aliens right now.
Yeah, it's not the pure pace that really gets me. It's the amount. It's how long they can drive on the absolute edge for, because I can drive on the edge for about 3 corners before I've crashed. But these guys can just drive for hours on hours, and they're on the absolute edge. They're like sliding and all sorts, and it doesn't faze them at all. They can just kind of deal with it, and I'm not really sure how they do it. But that's what sets them apart, really. And that is why they're so good. But you're seeing right now these guys starting to search for wet patches because they are really struggling with tyre temperatures. But it's not the fact that they can't get them up to temperature, it's the fact that now they're up to temperature, they're too hot now, so they're trying to search for some wet patches to cool them down.
Yeah, I wish we could see what the drivers' tyre temps were at. And Ewan, do you like battles?
Well, yeah, and I can see one right now.
Leon Otaki closing in onto Alan Hansen as they come around the final corner, and oh, never mind, Alan Hansen just runs wide.
Yeah, he's been struggling a little bit on the conditions. I believe Steven Salsgaard also got through on him into 9th position just a few moments ago, so things just finally calming down down there. But yeah, all things running very close together. It looks like Michi Hoyer can't catch Johannes Weiss. It's actually going the other way at the moment, going out to 10 seconds. Tim Yarshall still pulling that margin out, and as you can see from Leon Otaki, that Euronics car must have an incredible wet setup. Because both of them are extracting the absolute maximum out of the conditions right now, yeah, they're both easily the fastest cars on the circuit. So not really sure what happened to Otaki at the start of the race, but if that didn't happen, then it might well be a Euronics 1-2 right now.
Yeah, it might well have been, and we haven't seen any team get a 1-2 all season long. But I tell you what, I reckon Leon Otaki, he's going to catch up to Dan Long by the end of this stint. He's closing into Steven Salsgaard and Dan Long, you know, practically 2 seconds a lap right now.
Yeah, he's closing in on everybody, really, but once he gets past Dan Long into 8th position, he's got a long way to go to try and get up to Alessio Pesquero, that gap 20 seconds, although Yarshall has got that 20-second margin down or up, so, you know, things are possible, but the closest margin out there on the circuit, until Otaki inevitably, you feel, catches Salsgaard, it's Sean Bennett and FSR race winner Michi Hoyer, or FSR World Championship race winner Michi Hoyer. So yeah, very interesting to see this battle starting to develop now, and Sean Bennett having one of the best drives I think I've ever seen from him.
Yeah, Sean Bennett having a fantastic drive. He closed in by a second last time round onto Michi Hoyer. We'll have to see whether he can close that gap any further, because it's only a couple of seconds separating the two Aston Martins, and there you can see both of them in your shot. Sean Bennett closing in lap after lap.
Yeah, it's just slowly coming down right now. It's just nothing major, but each lap it's kind of piling on top of each other, and it's really starting to tell. It was actually a second on that lap, and Sean Bennett closing in, improving on his best lap time of the whole race right now, and the only man actually doing so, apart from Alan Hansen, who's a little bit further back, but 49.4 for him at the moment, and he looks like he's on for a low 49, maybe even a 48, and that is getting towards Yarshall territory, so that would be impressive, as Hoyer now maybe struggling on his tyres, because don't forget that even though these conditions and wet tyre wear is slightly less, it is still a factor, so you don't want to burn them out completely in the first half an hour and then be struggling in the second half an hour, and I'm just a little bit worried that that's what Hoyer has done.
Yeah, and we will have to bear that in mind, how these wet weather tyres are looking, how that tread is looking. And again, you know, we don't know what wet weather tyre life is like. Obviously on the dries it's just not an issue tyre wear, but maybe we're going to have to see people diving into the pits earlier, as Sean Bennett, he has a little think, but Michi Hoyer just slams the door shut in his face.
That was so late on the brakes. I thought he was going to go into, I thought he was actually going to hit the back of him. That's why I was starting to whimper a little bit, but it looks like Hoyer has got a bit of a poor exit off of that 90-degree left-hander and now into Sunset. It's a long way around the outside here, but he's going to go for this. Oh, he nearly managed it, but Hoyer shuts the door firmly and off the road even for Sean Bennett. It seems that is the choice line, just to dip your wheel onto the grass on the left-hand side there, but Hoyer goes a little bit wide again. Is Bennett going to go for it at the S's? That would be brave, and he's not going to go for it on this occasion, but you have to feel that once again it's only a matter of time at this point, because the way Bennett is able to move his car around and get onto the back of Hoyer there, it really is very impressive, and it's quite ominous actually for the German in front of him.
And we see Bennett almost having a little look down into Leo Kopp through mineshaft. They will go in just a couple of seconds at time, maybe into the crocodiles if Bennett was able to get the run, but no run this time round. Don't forget, the pair of these two, or both of them, are in the Aston Martin, so there is no car differential. It is all down to setup and driving skills.
Yeah, definitely. It's all down to these guys and what they can do. Of course, these guys are going to be swapping over in about 20 minutes time, but will they delay that pit stop because of the rain situation? You can see on the forecast on the top right, is that pit stop going to be delayed? Bennett is going to hand over to Jacob Anderson, and Michi Hoyer is going to hand over to Mikael Moe. So those guys are going to see what they can do from this point, but yeah, it's going to be a very interesting one to see what happens when those driver changes do happen, because they can completely change the face of the race. And also changing the face of the race is lap traffic, because we're upon it now. Looks like Jimmy Wood
Amato's in the pit
being lapped.
Oh, sorry, Pesquedu's in the pit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sean Bennett is still on the back of Michi Hoyer, but there is a back marker. That's Liam Hansen, as you mentioned, and Bennett is just waiting for that right moment, maybe into the left hand. He can have a little look, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it this time round.
It's a long way around the outside there as well at turn 7, so he's going to have to wait again. But Pesquedu into the pit lane. Is this a driver swap already? This would be remarkable if it is planned. And off the road. Oh, it's not back on the road. And very nearly a big accident. That was actually Biazizo. It was the teammate of Johannes Weiss. And those guys are actually going to be involved in a battle here in a moment. What's his face? I've forgotten his name already. Biazizo and Hansen. Yeah. So that's going to be a battle for 13th, while that battle we just were watching then for P4 goes up the road as well.
Yeah, well, Hansen's going to be battling with Biazizo, so Bennett's battling with Hoyer on your screens now. And don't forget, Leon Otaki closing in onto Steven Salzgaard. Johannes Weiss also closing in onto Miles Dixon as well. Just about 4 seconds separating the pair of those in the battle for second place.
Yeah, loads of pairs forming at the moment. Miles Dixon versus Johannes Weiss. Got Michi Hoyer versus Sean Bennett. Salzgard versus Otaki, and Bizizo versus Hansen. That's a good battle going on in the background. You can see it's almost 2 battles for the price of 1 going down here into turn number 2. Because that kink on the straight is apparently turn 1. Not really. Oh, what a dive that is! You can see how much later Sean Bennett can brake, because the way he closed in there was actually quite scary in the end.
The power of the diagonal breaking a line, but Michi Hoyer holds onto the position, or does he?
He's going to the inside now with Sean Bennett. He clobbered that curb though, and Hoyer with the outside line just going to get a bit of a better exit. I thought Sean Bennett was going to try it around the outside at Sunset, but he can't quite do it. And now, interestingly, the battle for 13th is still going on as well. Bizizo really missing his apexes at the moment, as is Hansen. Going to look back to Salzgard and Otaki as well. I believe that gap's about 1.7, because Otaki really is still flying at the moment.
Otaki really is flying. Last time around a 48.7. It's only the Euronics drives are in the 48s right now. Yarshall 27-second gap at 2 Miles Dixon. But I just want to go back to this battle for 4th place, because it does seem that Sean Bennett is faster in those hard braking zones and on the traction out of the slow corners, whereas it does seem that Michi Hoyer is better through those faster speed corners. So the best place really for Sean Bennett to have a go is into turn 1, because you're coming out of a slow corner, turn 16 through Ingwe, and then you can make your way, you can try to get the slipstream through turn 1 and down into Crowthorpe. That is going to be his best bet.
Yeah, I think so. And just missing the apex there was Michi Hoyer, but Sean Bennett followed him and went even wider in the end. So that was a bit of a disaster. And Hoyer with a very nice line to get the best exit possible. And he's actually done that really well. But is it going to be enough? Because we've seen the braking performance of Sean Bennett in the past. He's in the slipstream now, but he's a little bit too far back, even by his standards. I would say that he's probably too far back, because he brakes impossibly late down here into turn 2. Can't get that move done, and actually overshot just ever so slightly as Pierluca Amato is in. Interestingly, Primavera did get in through Pusquedo, so can these guys go an hour and 17? That's the big question. Or are they going to have to stop again? And the second question I've got is, are they going to have to stop again because of tyres? Because the track conditions, interestingly, in the top right, have changed to damp from wet. So what does that mean? Do you go for dries or wet in those situations?
I think you got to stay on the wet tyres, to be honest. But you know, here's the thing. When we talked earlier about how none of the teams have any experience with the wet, and I can guarantee you, every single team will be doing some form of wet weather testing right now with their second drivers. They'll be putting them out in those wet conditions, trying to feel how the slicks feel in these damp conditions. And if we see slicks going out now for Tiziano Brioni and for Daniela Primavera, you will know why.
Yeah, exactly. So we will see about that one. It looks like 10 minutes and the rain's going to stop. So maybe these guys are going to get those dry tyres on at their driver change, and that will be ideal. If Brioni gets into the car, he's going to be doing the lion's share of the work in this race. We'll see where he comes out in relation to his teammates, around 5 or 6 seconds. But interestingly, Leon Otaki is now on the back of Steven Salzgard. So we've got battle for 7th and 4th, nose to tail right now, and this is what we like to see.
And don't forget, only 5 seconds up the road from these two is a Dan Long in what is now the battle for 6th places. Otaki getting very closer down into the S's, but he's not going to be able to find any way through just yet.
No, not just yet. He's just got to keep probing, keep trying, and keep trying to get an exit. This is the corner that Salzgard and Otaki are going through right now. It's quite an interesting one, actually.
Oh, back in from Otaki!
And he saved it though, so
what a save.
He's alright. But yeah, just to mention that corner, turn number 12, Mineshaft. It's normally, or Mineshaft, if you meet. It's normally flat out completely in almost every car, but considering these wet conditions, it's actually becoming quite sketchy for these guys.
Yeah, it really is, and you know, the kink flat out in the dry is flat out in the wet as well, but Mineshaft flat out in the dry, you cannot take it flat in the wet. And the same really goes for turns 3 and 4. It is very quick in the dry, but in the wet, you know, you just have to put a little bit of a lift, a bit of a tap on the brakes.
Yeah, just an insurance lift really more than anything, and just to make you feel a little bit better. As Leon Otaki not taking any lift through there as he goes down the inside nearly into turn 5. He can't do it there, and he's going to have to wait a little bit longer. But Brioni, interestingly, has come out right in front of Daniele Primavera. Look at this right now, the two Musto cars running in tandem right now. So does this mean that Amato was really slowing down towards the end of his stint, or was Primavera going much faster at the start of his? I would say that Primavera was going quite fast actually, because he's doing 49s pretty consistently.
Yep, and well, let's see how it keeps on going. But as you mentioned, Primavera going very well at the start of his stint, and Otaki, as we can see, still all over the back of Steven Salsgaard, but he just can't find any way through. To be fair to Steven Salsgaard, he's spinning in the low 50s and closing in a second a lap onto Dan Long, and now just a 4 seconds separates Dan Long in 6th from Steven Salsgaard.
Johannes Weiss is also into the pit lane from 3rd position, so he's going for the pit lane. Is he going for the dry tyres? That's the question. Not entirely. I would say there's probably a little bit too wet at the moment for them, but maybe he's going to take a bit of a risk here and go for this. If they don't know the crossover point, then they're just going to really go blind on this one, as Dan Long likewise comes into the pit lane. He's been losing bags of time in the last few laps, by the way. Yeah, really starting to struggle in these conditions, but going to see where Brioni and Primavera are going to come out in relation to Weiss. I'm not expecting them to get anywhere near. Oh, and then he's already out, so that's Philip Matzik, by the way, who's taken over. But yeah, they're a long way behind are both Musto cars, and if they want to get a podium and get on terms with Burst Esport in the championship, then it's going to take a big effort from them.
And Ewan, something interesting that I want to bring up is when Otaki came in the pits at the end of lap 1, how much fuel, if any, did Euronics put into that number 58 car? Because if they did put a lot in, Otaki can make it to that dry spell, and when he makes his driver change and hands over to Marco Pajic, it's going to be slick tires, and that means that you're going to be seeing the Musto GD cars coming in for a stop onto the dries anyway, and Otaki is going to be jumping ahead of all of them.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that is going to be the case just yet, because he pitted
10 minutes.
Was it? Oh, did he pit after 10 minutes? Did he?
Oh no, I was saying the dry spell is in 10 minutes, but he pitted lap 1 or lap 2.
It was early. If all of these guys are filling or starting with a full fuel load in their car, which I would imagine they would, I can't imagine that being much of a benefit. If it is really that close, if it is, you know, like the difference between 2 minutes, then maybe it would work for them. But I can't see the crossover point being that sharp right now. It just seemed very gradual as Steven Salsgaard goes very wide and nearly comes back onto the circuit directly into the path of Otaki. But he gets down the inside anyway, and yeah, he is through now. So we'll see how that continues on. The Aston Martin pretty good under brakes there, but Salsgaard couldn't get down the inside, so Hoyer and Bennett are in as well. We just have to see where they come out in relation to Philip Matzik, who pitted a little bit earlier than them.
Otaki's in 3rd.
Yes, he is, because of some pit stops, and Matzik has got ahead of both of them, including Mika. Well, he was ahead of them before, but that's not the...
Yarshall in the pits as well.
Yep, race leader in. So where is Mikkel Mo and Jacob Anderson going to come out? Where are Tiziano Brioni and Daniele Primavera? They are not anywhere near. So they have got a big job on their hands here, and possibly one of the drives. If they're going to take this championship, then they'll be looking back on this one and being thankful to themselves, really, because they've got a big margin to close here. 18 seconds as it says right now. I'd imagine it's actually a bit closer to 10 because it gets a bit confused when they leave the pit lane. Obviously everyone's going a bit slower, so the time gaps are a little bit bigger.
If you watch Otaki driving right now, he is on the absolute limit. I think this is Otaki's final lap before Euronics do pull him in, but if I was Euronics, I'd be telling Otaki, put it in fuel saving mode, short shift coming out the corners, you need to make those 8 minutes. It says 10 minutes until the track dries up, but don't forget, that came through when it was 10 minutes. It's been a good 4 or 5 minutes since that came up, so the track could be drying any moment now. Euronics, they have to squeeze out every single lap they can out of that Euronics car.
Well, the track is definitely drying, yeah. It just depends when the rain stops, and then the point is going to be where anytime soon the track is going to be completely dry for these guys, or mostly dry anyway. Lucas Schmidt currently out of the pit lane. He's going to retake the lead, and Simon Crane is going to retake second as Leon Otaki goes into the pit lane. So missed opportunity for them. Well, maybe, but we don't know if these guys are already going on to dry tyres or not.
I think they've missed an opportunity. They were in a really tricky situation, but Otaki, all credit to him. He's done an absolutely fantastic job dragging Euronics after whatever happened on lap 1 back up the order.
Brioni's off just ever so slightly there, and his teammate Primavera overtakes him. So it seems that, Brioni, like his teammate, really struggling at the moment.
Yep, and I've just been reminded as well, don't forget 1,500 euros on the line for whoever wins the championship. You know, this isn't just a case of, Brioni and Primavera need to find, the points to win the championship. There's a lot of money at stake as well.
Yeah, that's going to get the nerves up, probably. Well, it would get mine up anyway, because, I think that's a lot of money to be playing for. But, it's all... because of our sponsors, of course, we're thankful for that, of course. But currently, the only man, if we discount Hansen, who's in the pit lane right now, the only man in the pit lane, who hasn't been into the pit lane yet, should I say, is Steven Salsgaard in the DSR Nightmare Aston Martin, which they've been driving for most of the race as well, for most of the season as well. So, so Salsgaard is the only one who hasn't pitted yet, but if they're all on dry tyres, then you'd have to say that he's probably going to be in this lap.
Yeah, and have the drivers pitted for dries yet then?
I
don't think it's dries.
Sure.
I don't think they have.
I just don't know why they pit this early if it wasn't for dries. That's the only thing, really.
You can definitely start to see a dry line forming, but I don't know, can we get confirmation from...
anybody?
From anyone. Does anyone know if anyone has put on dry tyres right now? Because
we don't.
Yeah, we don't get a graphic to tell us who is on dry tyres, and there's just no graphic to tell us, and we are seeing a slight dry line, but I don't think that's enough for dry tyres, to be honest.
Well, you never know. It might be. We just don't know, to be honest. So we just have to wait and see on this one, really, and just enjoy the battles while they last for the moment. Mikkel Mo versus Jacob Anderson, picking up from where Hoyer and Bennett left off right now between these two Aston Martins, as they both go wide actually at turn 5, but it definitely looks like the rain has stopped and the spray has stopped being kicked up. And as I said, I just don't understand why the guys will pit so early if they were just going on to another set of wet tyres. Surely if you were staying on the wets, you'd stay out for as long as possible.
Yeah, exactly. And, we've been questioning, why are you pitting this early? I mean, if it is for dry tyres, then my apologies to all the teams. They clearly know what they're doing. But, it was just really confusing. And I guess they must be on dries. And, Lucas Schmidt's on dries. So I would have to assume that everyone else is on dries as well. Otherwise, you'd be losing a whole chunk of time. And if we take a look at the laps, we're seeing 46s coming in. So you remember Lucas Schmidt, he was doing 48s on the wet. Now he's on the dries, he's doing 46s. So that crossover point was right there for so long.
Yeah, it's just the question for me now, another one, and we're going to get it answered throughout the race, of course, is, as I've just completely rocked the wrong car there, is... can these guys make it on fuel? Because the likes of Primavera were pitting with 1 hour 20 to go, and that's a long way on fuel. I don't know if they can manage that. We saw Henningsen, I think it was, or Pedersen, go an awfully long way at the Hungaroring. We keep mentioning that as kind of the benchmark for how long you can go to the very limit, but some of these guys are going to be severely fuel saving to the end, I would imagine.
Yeah, you would have to imagine. So I think... when you compare Kyalami to Hungaroring, I think this is probably a track that does use up fuel a little bit more. It does seem to be a longer track than Hungaroring, although I can't quite remember what lap times were getting put out there. But we just got confirmation that everyone is on the dry tyres. Primavera is still battling with Brioni, but we've also got Jakob Andersson on the back of Mikkel Mo. So the 112 still battling with the 62 even as the track dries up.
Yeah, that probably is Jakob Andersson actually, isn't it, given that he's Danish, it's not Jacob. But yeah, there you go, that's just my English brain playing tricks on me there.
And he just went down the inside as well. That was Rob Schaefer who went down the inside of Wolf, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, Richard Schaefer. Well, Wolf is in the pit lane, so it might not be him, but yeah, Richard Schaefer trying to make a few moves. I think that was actually on somebody a lap in front of him, maybe Matthias Blom. No, the 777 of Carl Leikegaard. So, yeah, they stand out an awfully long time. I think they stayed out too long, actually, because they were running about 8th, battling with PH, but he's now down to 10th position and got a bit of a recovery on his hands if he wants to get any more points out this race.
Okay, and the question that I have is, we talked about the wet setup versus the dry setup, and did the Musto GD cars have a dry setup, and if they did, how much would they be able to catch up to the Euronics? Well, Lucas Schmidt last time round, the only man in the 45s, the only one who comes close to that is actually Marco Page and Matt Beavis, and the Musto team, they're in the high 47s, 48s.
What has Lucas Schmidt had for breakfast? Because that's quite astonishing, actually. 45.7, that's remarkable. Simon Crane's not doing badly either, let's not forget him. And that whole Paul Simsport team, a fantastic early running there from Miles Dixon. And Simon Crane now kind of finishing off the job for them here. They've both done an absolutely fantastic job. Yeah, just incredible from those guys to be holding pace with Euronics. They did a 46 dead on the last lap. Just really great pace from those guys, and something we haven't really seen from them any time in the season, really.
Brioni last time round, he did a 45.8, so he is off the pace, but not by much. Don't forget, this track is getting quicker and quicker lap after lap. In qualifying, we saw pretty much a 40 deads. Was it 40 dead or 42 dead from Tim Yarshall for pole?
It was a 40 dead, and nearly into the 39s, very nearly into the 39s, but so he couldn't manage it.
My point with that is, we're probably going to see these lap times drop until we get into the 42s, if not maybe the low 42s. So just bear that in mind, that there is still a lot more time to be found, and you know, the next 30 minutes or so is going to be, as you can see on the top right of your corner, the track going from greasy to dry, and the driver's just finding that 10th after 10th as the track gets grippier and grippier and grippier.
Yeah, it's going to continue to get faster. We've still got at least 3 seconds in this track, that's for sure, but we'll just have to wait and see how quickly we will go. So, we're about to complete the first hour, and if the second hour is as exciting as the first one, then you definitely don't want to miss it. So make sure you stay with us throughout this commercial break, and then we will see you on the other side for the final hour of racing here at Kyalami for the GTR24 Sprint Series. And yeah, this is round number 8, and we'll see you in a moment.
Complexity is a Danish designer and manufacturer of high-grade sim racing platforms. There are 3 different levels of platforms come in a variety of colors and configurations. Choose from the V4, built from 40 by 40 mm extruded aluminium profiles, the V8 built from 80 by 40 mm profiles, and the high-tier V12 built from 160 by 40 mm extruded aluminium profiles. Prices range from 470 to 750 euros. Go to facebook.com/simplexity.eu and start a messenger chat to inquire more about the options for colors and customization.
Communication. It started out as a conversation between 2 people, but as time went by and people's needs became greater, they developed more ways to communicate. Businesses today need to minimize incomplete connections. Therefore, it is critical that they provide optimal service. Xilinx's desktop, mobile and web applications can process everything from normal calls and callbacks to chats, emails, and social media inquiries. Let Xilinx liberate your business.
streams of tournaments on 13-inch screens?
Of course you do. But you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Welcome back, everybody, to the GTR24H Sprint Series, round number 8 here at Kyalami. The new Kyalami, of course, it's been redone in recent times and whatever, and it does look fantastic now in ACC, of course. Got the 9-hour race that I believe is still actually going this year, which is somewhat remarkable, but we'll see if it actually happens. Interesting one last year. The rain actually fell in the last few hours, and the rain has fallen here today on everybody, unfortunately. Unfortunately for Burst Esport and Musto, it hasn't rained on the parade of Luca Schmidt because he is out in front by about 30 seconds at the moment, or a long way out in front anyway. But don't forget, by the way, before we get into the race again, and the racing really is still on as well, you can still vote in the wet race versus dry race business. Which one you think is better? I think wet race is better, and this race has just shown it, really. Apparently it's 50-50 now, so you can still vote and make sure the wet side wins. But anyway, the race, as I said, still on here. And Brioni, Yusuf, still catching, and actually really starting to catch at an alarming rate. Jakob Andersen up in front of him.
Yeah, 1.5 seconds was the amount that Tiziana Brioni closed in last time around. 5 seconds was the gap before, and that is going to be dropping. It's now 4.1 seconds in. Jakob Andersen is close to Philip Matzik, close to Mikael Moser. Brioni has a chance of picking up a 4th place, and while that's not going to be enough to see Musto jump ahead of Burst Esports in Blake City, it will really close down the gap.
Yeah, that will be excellent news for the championship. And just had a bit of word from the chat, by the way. Thanks to everyone who's been chatting in the various chats, and that's what they're there for. But we've had some word in that Leon Otaki started on dry tyres, even though he had the wet rain tyres selected. So not sure what on earth has gone on there, but that would explain why he was struggling so much, considering it was quite wet at the start. And he was on dry, so that's a bit of a problem for him. But yeah, that's why he dropped so far back early on. But they're trying to recover at least, and it's good to see them still going.
Yeah, and I've seen that happen numerous times, not only in Assetto Corsa, but in numerous different games. And yep, sometimes you get these bugs where it doesn't select. Sometimes you think you select it and then, you forget to tick that option or unselect the option, which is go with the default tires or some random stuff like that. So massive shame for Otaki and, well, Euronics in general, because without a doubt they would have been 1 and 2 with the amount of pace that Otaki showed in that first stint.
Yeah, you've got to say that they probably would be up there indeed. Let's just look at some last lap times from Marco Piech. The 58 car now, 43.4 for him on the last lap, which is only 3 tenths behind his teammate, and second fastest of everybody, even catching both Musto cars. So 20 seconds is the gap between Primavera and Piech. The question is, can Marco Piech catch it up to Daniele Primavera? I reckon that he might be able to do it in the laps he's got remaining.
Well, the other thing I want to bring up is right now Marco Piech is almost getting 2 seconds a lap quicker than Philip Matzik in 3rd, and the gap between them is about 45 seconds. And we've got 50 minutes left, so there is a chance, there is a really slim chance that Piech could catch all the way up to Matzik, and you don't know what else could happen. It's still a greasy circuit out there, so is it possible, but we're really going to be seeing from 3rd all the way down to 8th start to close up, and there are going to be battles left and right.
Yeah, we have got a battle as well between Brioni and Andersen. Andersen's just seemed to be starting to struggle on the back of Mikael Mo, who's really starting to actually put the pace down in this one. And so, yeah, 2 Danish drivers battling it out, or they were anyway. But now they've been split apart, and Brioni is trying to get through on Andersen himself now. Interestingly, just watching looking at our facts here, Andersen was actually born in Wales, but moved to Copenhagen 4.5 years ago, or probably nearer 5, and now he's Danish. So there you go. As is almost everybody in this. Well, I don't want to say everybody, but there's quite a lot of Danes in this league. It's fair to say.
Wow, Peter, I'm sure Peter, our producer, is feeling very offended right now. Maybe is it Jacob then? Maybe he
I only
is...
said it because he can't respond right now, so...
Oh, yes.
You've got
to get him while he's down.
To respond right now. As Brioni, I've got a message. As Brioni to the outside now of Anderson, he very well on the brakes, but Anderson's able to stand his ground on the inside. We'll see if Brioni can get a good run on the exit, and now this is going to be quite sketchy on a greasy circuit in a not quite flat out corner anymore. Going to go side by side, and it was indeed flat out for both of them. The track is drying, and the positions are changing now. Brioni is up into 5th position.
Yep, the track state is still on greasy, but if you look at the circuit, you can't see as much of a distinct dry line as before. And what that also means is now, when you do go offline and you look for those overtaking opportunities, you're no longer going to be on wet tarmac, and it's going to be that little bit easier to overtake. If you want to overtake, you either want a full dry track or a full wet track. You don't want one that is a drying.
No, greasy is possibly the worst kind of track to be having, because it's just unpredictable really, and that's not really what a racing driver likes. It likes to be, even though we like it as fans, not so great to drive in, because these guys are going to be on the edge. But speaking of being on the edge, Anderson is on the edge of the top 6 right now, and he's very close to falling out of it completely, because Daniele Primavera almost following his teammate through right now. Brioni marching up the field, Primavera trying to follow him. So we'll see if he can follow the leader right now, but he can't quite for now through the kind of S's. I don't know why these two corners aren't part of the S's section either, because they are kind of the same idea, but you know, corner names and things like that. This is 8 and 9, and these definitely are S's, and you definitely know about it when you get there as well. They're pretty difficult.
Yeah. I quite like the idea of heading down into sunset. It's got a bit of a ring to it, and also just taking a look at the track conditions right now, it looks bone dry. That's not greasy. That track state is going to change from greasy to dry very soon. You know, we already talked about how we couldn't see much water on the track, so yeah. It should all be good. It shouldn't be getting any wetter. And what a dive from Primavera down the inside of Anderson. We got to see that on board as well. Beautiful lunge from the Italian.
Yeah, he wanted to make quick progress there, because he's watching his teammate go up the road just a little bit, and he doesn't want to let him get too far away. He's trying to follow him through. As I said earlier on, they're both going to be catching Mikel Mo now as well. So it was very good from Primavera to get that move done nice and quickly, so he didn't have to spend any longer than he needed to behind the Dane in front of him.
He definitely did not. And I'm just trying to see, Lucas Schmidt, how many drivers is he going to lap in this race? Because he's about to start lap 38 and about to start lap 36 is going to be Matt Beaver. So he's lapped the top 9. Marco Page is the next one he's got to lap. 42.9's coming through from him. So he's just catching up to the guys ahead at a massive rate of knots. And if he does close in onto Marco Page, he's probably, you know, he'll probably get the order from your running. Okay, just pull Marco Page along with you. Just give him that slipstream to help him out a bit.
Yeah, they might do that, I guess, but they might not equally. I'm not entirely sure. The question also is he going to break that record that we've seen so far in this season? The least cars we've seen on a league lap so far is 4 back at Zolder when Burst Esport won by over a minute. So that's why they were able to lap so many cars, because, as I said, they won by over a minute. So that is what went on there, but yeah, I honestly can't see them getting quite that far in front, but it would be very impressive if they were able to, and it is still a very impressive drive from them nevertheless.
Well, it's 40 seconds at the moment, and Lucas Schmidt is pulling a second to Simon Crane every lap, and more than that to Philip Matzik. I mean, it was 3.3 seconds that he pulled last time round. I'm just trying to see what all the gaps are looking like. Tiziano Brioni closing in onto Mikel Mo. And again, that's, you know, well, last time round 1.3 seconds. So you can see there Brioni really closing in onto the number 62.
Now, am I just seeing things here, as Lucas Schmidt lost a lot of time to Simon Crane? because I am seeing, I'm seeing the complete wrong thing. Never mind. Not to alarm you all or anything, but Brioni is still closing on Mikko Mo. I think my time gaps are wrong anyway, because coming over the line then, Lucas Schmidt apparently did a 1 minute something, which is really
he did a 42.6 last time round.
Yeah, my timing screen was really not having a very good time, and said he did a 1 minute 5 or something, which is quite remarkable even for him. So we've all sorted ourselves out now, and Lucas Schmidt has still got that huge lead, but Mikko Mo hasn't really got a huge lead at all on the likes of Tiziano Brioni and Daniele Primavera, because he is going to have to do some pretty good defending work on this occasion. We'll see how long he can hold on for, really, but the way Brioni caught him, I can't see him holding on for very long.
Yep. The other thing I want to bring up is Marco Pietsch the last time round, 2 seconds was the amount that he closed up onto Jakob Andersen, and at the moment there's only 14 seconds separating the pair of them, and then Lucas Schmidt is just a further 10 seconds behind, so they're really going to be closing up within the next, I'd say, 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, I'd just be interested to see if Brioni, once he gets past, well, we're presuming that he will get past Mikko Mo. I think he will. It just depends when, really. But is he going to get up to Filip Matzik? That is on my mind right now, because Matzik is in the low 44s around about. He did a 44.2 on that last lap. Brioni is stuck behind Mo at the moment, so let's not focus on his lap times too much. But while he was closing in, he was in the low 43s. So if he catches by a second a lap, it's going to take him 14 laps. And I think he's got more than enough time to catch and pass Matzik if that continues. But this series is so unpredictable that it's likely to not continue so normally.
Yeah, well, it's all going to come down to how quickly can Brioni find a way past Primavera. I thought Brioni almost lost the back end for a second as they make their way through Clubhouse and now down in towards the S's, and Brioni, he's having another look, but he's getting so close. Can he get close enough? How is the run out the S's looking for him?
It's looking actually pretty good, but I don't know if it's good enough for Brioni to get down the inside. I bet he wishes there was a longer braking zone at turns 8 is where the S's are, because that braking zone is just not big enough for him to get down the inside. But that's where he's getting his best run. He needs to figure out either a way to get through there or a way to get through or get a better run at somewhere.
Oh, around the outside!
A good opportunity. Here he goes, braking late, and he's sent Mo quite late on the brakes. Now he's going to get the cut back down the inside. This is going to be close if he sticks his nose down there. Goodness me, that was close. But he got his nose chopped off, and he sticks behind for now.
Well, he had a little look into Cheetah, didn't he? But not going to be able to make it work this time around. But he is really applying the pressure onto Mikko Mo. Daniele Primavera, he's a further 4 seconds back, so he's going to be closing into this battle as well. So here we go. Mikko Mo goes defensive. Tiziano Brioni has a look, and Mo shuts the door in his face.
Just something I've noticed throughout this race that I didn't know I hadn't noticed, if you see what I mean. As Brioni's still hounding this Aston Martin in front of him, we haven't seen the Bentleys for a long time now. There wasn't even a single Bentley at Laguna Seca,
nope.
And there wasn't one in the top 10 at Suzuka either. So, with the schools shut and on the summer holidays, the school buses are staying at home and they're not coming out to the sprint series anymore.
Ewan, that is my favourite joke that I've heard you say throughout our entire time of working together.
That's the first one, but that's just, I don't know, it just looks like a bus. I don't really like it very much. That's all I think about the Bentley. But Brioni really
there we go.
Aston at the moment. He's trying
down the inside.
Oh, yeah.
He's done it. What a move. He really just, I wouldn't say barged his way through, but he showed his nose, and there was nothing that Mikko Mo could do about it. Brioni up into 4th place.
No, yeah, absolutely nothing in defence there for Mikko Mo. He's gonna try and go down the inside, showing his nose as well. But the same trick has not worked on Brioni on this occasion. It does look strong on the brakes, actually, that Audi. But the question, I don't know if Brioni's going to be able to use that to his advantage if/when he catches up to Matzik, because they're driving the same car. So, is he going to find that overtake a little bit more difficult? We'll have to wait and see, really. But it definitely looks like a couple of guys. Looks like Blom and Sai might be battling just in front. And these guys behind really don't want this. Brioni doesn't want his progress to be stalled by two backmarkers having a battle. As entertaining as it is, they really don't want that to be getting in their way.
And we haven't heard Nick Newcomb talk about backmarkers yet today, and maybe now we might be hearing Nick Newcomb come over already talking about drivers, needing to move out of the way of lapping cars, but let's wait and see.
Yeah, they're actually not battling for a legitimate position as I thought they were initially. They're a lap apart from each other, so that's Hinside unlapping himself. And I know Hinside basically the reason that I noticed the Bentleys aren't here, because I realised that Rookie Monsters and that 73 often do choose the Bentley, in fact, and they didn't this time, so maybe they should have. They might be in the points if they did, but going for the Honda on this occasion. They're currently a lap behind Matthias Blom, which is the car in front. The 766, and he just goes very wide there to get out of the way. That's very good backmarkering, if that's the word, or being a backmarker. Yeah, we'll see if he's that nice to everybody else. I'm sure he will be, but it's just a question of whether everybody else is going to be quite that nice, because that was very courteous from Blom.
Yeah. Someone who's not going to be courteous, though, is Marco Page, because he's still closing in by practically 2 seconds a lap onto Jakob Andersson, and the gap now is under 10 seconds. The gap between everyone from Tiziano Brioni all the way down to Page is less than 10 seconds. 6.8 is the amount that separates the 112 to the 58 Euronics of Marco Page.
Yeah, it is definitely closing. There's all kinds of gaps closing right now. Brioni is catching Matzik, Primavera catching Mo, and Page catching Anderson. So that's great news for us, because we're going to get a load of two-car battles going on towards the end of this race. It's it doesn't really matter when, because we've still got 42 minutes to go, and that is the exciting thing about this race. And the greasy track conditions are still with us. It seems that the conditions are very overcast at the moment, so there's not much sunlight getting onto the circuit and not much heat in the air, so the track isn't quite as warm as they'd like to be to get all that water off the surface. But you have to say that by the end of this race, the track is going to be dry, or at least close to dry anyway.
It's bone dry already, Ewan. I mean, we're seeing 42.8s coming in from Lucas Schmidt. I don't think it can get much dry. The only reason it's not quick is just because, as you mentioned, the sun's not out. So, I mean, I do know they like cooler temperatures at times, but I think if it was a little bit warmer and a little bit less overcast, they'd be into the low 42s.
Yeah, well, it's quite a scary prospect if he can do 42s in greasy conditions where the track's still pretty unpredictable. That really would be not at all scary for everybody else. Of course, I'm being sarcastic. It would be quite ominous for everybody. Still not got any answers on that. It looks like they're going to be able to get 5 podiums in a row. However, are they close enough to Burst Esport to actually take this championship from here? They came into the day 46 points down. They're going to be 21 down now, but with 4 rounds to go, is it too late for them? It remains to be seen, but it's on the knife edge, really. They really needed to win this race, and the way it's going for them at the moment, it is all going to plan, which is a very good thing for them indeed, of course.
Just an update on Marco Page. He is now 4 seconds behind Jakob Andersson, who is holding the gap somewhat to Daniela Primavera, 5.5 seconds down, but Page is catching, and he's going to find a way past, and then he's going to be hunting down Primavera. Just how far can the Euronics Razor team go? And don't forget, this is the team that had to pit at the end of the opening lap because they selected, apparently they selected the right tyres, but the game gave them the wrong tyres, and they had to start on slicks on a wet track, I should say.
Yeah, that's why they were dropping down the order so much, and that's understandable really when you've got the complete wrong tyres on, because towards the start of this race it was very wet indeed. We were quite surprised to load into the race and find water everywhere, yeah, that would have been a bit of a surprise to these guys. Well, maybe they knew, but no, it would have been a very big surprise to them. Yeah, Marko Pisic is really catching everybody right now. 43.0, his fastest lap of the race so far, or his fastest lap, should I say. last lap around. Caught Anderson by 2 seconds on that lap. And nobody can really match him, apart from his teammate, of course, but they're so far apart, they're almost a lap apart, so it doesn't really matter. But PH is catching all of those in front of him, pretty much. How many of those cars is he going to take? He's definitely going to get Anderson, I would say. Is he going to get to Primavera? Is he going to get Mo? He could even get Brioni and Matic with the amount of time that we've got left on the clock.
Yeah, he might very well be able to. However, that being said, Brioni doing a 43.8 and Matic doing a 43.9, so Page is only closing in by a second a lap, and well, at the moment he finds himself about almost 20 seconds behind. Well, actually it's about 15 seconds behind Brioni, so it's going to be exceptionally difficult to say the least. But just look at that, Page right on the back now, pretty much over Jakob Anderson, less than 2 seconds separating the two.
Yeah, you have to say that by the end of this lap they're going to be absolutely nose to tail, and the battle is going to commence between these two. The track conditions have now finally officially gone to green. I presume that means the track's got no rubber on it rather than the colour green, but I wouldn't know if it was green. Anyway, it's still positively grey, as you can see. But apparently it's just got no rubber on it, and I don't really know how that would affect the race, or affect the tyre wear, or affect the pace, or what's going on there. But probably more rubber down probably affects you in a positive way in terms of the lap time and whatever. It's just a question of adaptation at this point, because the conditions are ever changing. It's gone from almost fully wet in this race, really biblical conditions, biblical rainfall. It's gone to drizzling and on the dry and greasy conditions, and now we're in fully dry conditions where the rubber's being put down, and now the track's changing in that way. So there's a whole load of challenges going on in this race.
Yeah, so when the track's green, two things can essentially happen. Either you can be increasing your tyre wear just because you're finding less grip and you're sliding a little bit more, which can cause tyre wear, but with these guys, they're being smooth enough, that's not going to be an issue. What will most likely happen is, if a track is green and you aren't finding that much rubber, you just can't put as much lean, you just can't put as much cornering weight onto your tyres, so as a result, less load goes into them and they don't wear out as much. So usually in green conditions, you should get less tyre wear, but the track's not green. It was green 15-20 minutes ago. Now it's fine. So I don't think it's going to get much faster, otherwise we would have seen Lucas Schmidt still improving, which he hasn't, and considering that fuel load is dropping, it says that the track's not really going to get much better than it is now.
Yeah, and the tyres obviously are only going to be getting worse from this point because of the wear. So the lap times, despite the fuel load going down, these tyres actually wear, of course. So things are not going to be going well in terms of lap times. But Marco Page looking up the inside of Jakob Anderson, and now into turn 12 and 13. Is he going to be able to do anything down here at this right-hander, the kind of hairpin now? He's going to look to the inside, is he? Is Anderson going to just park himself in the middle of the road? Good defence from him that time, but has he gone too deep into the hairpin? Can Page get a good run? So
here we go.
To this fast right-hander. This could be sketchy, but he's made it stick very cleanly indeed. Very respectful racing from the both of them there. And Marco Page is up another position on a fantastic recovery drive from the 58.
I tell you what, Ewan, all the moves that we are seeing seem to be happening either into the crocodile with someone running wide, or down the inside of Cheetah, which is not where I would have been expecting moves to happen.
No, not really. But Marco Page is certainly a competent driver, that is for sure, and that's why he's closing in on everybody really right now. Obviously he's a little bit slow on the last lap, but he was doing some overtaking, so we can forgive him for that. But he is certainly an established sim racer, only 21 years old. A lot of these guys are actually really quite young, especially in Euronics, I've noticed actually. Yarshall and Schmidt are both 16 years old, which is very young indeed. But they're extremely fast, as is Page, who apparently, I'm sure he has, because I think John put this together, didn't he? So we have to say thank you to him and for everything else he does for us and for GTR24. So, participated in the ADAC GT Masters Esports Shootouts in 2020, which is quite a mouthful, but it shows his sim racing prowess, that's for sure.
Yeah, it really does, and Euronics have an absolutely fantastic lineup, and, well, I guess you wonder where were they at the start of the season. Well, they didn't get any points at Spark Brands. I don't think they raced in the first 2 or 3 races, but since they did get their first point, it was a race win at Hungary, then, 3 second places, or 3 second places, and now they're looking for another win. So it's just been super consistent from Euronics, and, well, they're deserving of their win. And we say 2 second places in the last 2 races. That was, of course, with drive-through penalties as well.
Yeah, this time they've kept it clean, but the only reason they have been able to keep it clean, I don't say the only reason, one of the reasons is they've not been near any cars, and that is probably helping them out here, because when you're not near any cars in terms of battling for position, you're obviously going to be not crashing into them or anything,
yeah.
Or making contact. So that all made their lives a little bit easier. But it's not to say that they haven't improved. And it's interesting and it's good that we know they are both 16 years old, because it does perhaps show a slight bit of inexperience when they are racing other cars. Obviously, we've got some much older guys in here who probably double, maybe even triple their age, who have got triple their experience, you would imagine, in all things sim racing. So it does perhaps, the fact that they are so young does perhaps show a little bit of inexperience in the first few laps of races. That's why they've been getting drive-throughs, and arguably it's cost them 2 race wins in 2 weeks, which is pretty disappointing for them, but it's all part of the learning curve.
Yeah, but I mean, I like to look at it like this. If you are younger, that means you're going to be learning quicker. So, wherever they are now, they're going to be improving at a much quicker race than at a much quicker rate than everyone else around them. So those drive-through penalties, it hurt the first time, it really hurt the second time, but we're probably not going to be seeing it again. And let's be honest, it is fantastic to see. I mean, sure, you get penalties and it's a shame, but it does mean that we're getting really exciting wheel-to-wheel battling, which is great for the viewers at home.
Yeah, definitely it is. And of course, it's quite a scary prospect, really, for the fact that they are going to be learning and going to be getting faster, of course. That is a very scary prospect for everybody else, and quite ominous for those who will be wanting to beat them. Of course, we've got loads of very quick drivers in this series, notably, one of the notable ones. We've got Haniel Sabti, who's been World Fastest Gamer finalist. Jesper Pedersen's been GT Academy finalist. So these guys have not only been very quick in the simulator, they've actually been able to carry it into competitions where they will be able to prove themselves in real life, which is a really great opportunity for them, and it's really good to see these guys getting rewarded for the fact that they are extremely good at what they do.
I do want to bring up something else, Ewan, as well. We haven't talked a lot about Simon Crane, because he's in second for Pulse Sim Sport, and their best result so far is a 5th place. So this is going to be their first time on the podium, and, well, their highest ever result by an absolute margin. So absolute, credit where it's due. Pulse Sim Sport with an absolutely fantastic drive so far.
For me, that is the team of the race, really. Really enjoyed field. Miles Dixon, incredible first sim from him. Really, really good job. And to get into second position and then hold it as well from Simon Crane. Really, really great job. As I said, team of the race. Obviously, you've got to look past Euronics for team of the race, because Smith and Yarsha have just done such a fantastic job decimating this field of really talented sim racers. But Simon Crane and Miles Dixon, hats off to those guys, because they've also done a really awesome job. But we are just about to tick over into the final half an hour of this race now. It's been an absolutely fascinating first 90 minutes. And after this quick commercial break, we will have the final 30 minutes. So make sure you join us after this ad break. You are currently watching the GTR24H Sprint Series from Kyalami, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Tango!
Simplexity is a Danish designer and manufacturer of high-grade sim racing platforms. Their 3 different levels of platforms come in a variety of colors and configurations. Choose from the V4, built from 40 by 40mm extruded aluminium profiles, the V8 built from 80 by 40mm profiles, and the high-tier V12 built from 160 by 40mm extruded aluminium profiles. Prices range from 470 to 750 euros. Go to facebook.com/simplexity.eu and start a messenger chat to inquire more about the options for colors and customization.
Communication. It started out as a conversation between 2 people, but as time went by and people's needs became greater, they developed more ways to communicate. Businesses today need to minimize incomplete connections. Therefore, it is critical that they provide optimal service. Xilinx desktop, mobile and web applications can process everything from normal calls and callbacks to chats, emails, and social media inquiries. Let Xilinx liberate your business.
Do you like games? Do you like esports? Do you hate watching laggy streams of tournaments on 13-inch screens? Oh my god!
Of course you do. But you don't have to worry about that anymore.
He has a jump, son!
Welcome back to the GTR24H Sprint Series here from Kyalami, and we have battles developing out there on the circuit. Mikhail Mo versus Daniele Primavera and Marco Pesic. Yeah, this battle, great to see these guys going so quickly right now, and everybody seems to be kind of running towards Mo right now, but we're going to be looking at the standings now as they would be as they run at the moment, with Euronics winning the race. Obviously Burst Esport not here at all, which is a disaster for those guys. So Euronics are going to be 21 points behind, and Musto GD Esports with a 4th placed finish are going to be just 3 points behind, and that sets up the championship beautifully.
Yeah, it's going to be super close at the front of the pack, and of course this race ain't done yet. Brioni still closing in onto Matsik, and don't count out Marco Page for what he can do for the Euronics Gaming Razor team. They still have a point to be picking up, but it is super close in the battle in the midfield, you know, in the 40 points for so many teams right now.
Yeah, that's the great thing about the midfield, but we're seeing even some of the cars that are supposed to be championship leading are running in the midfield. It's just a question of, in the next 25 minutes, can Brioni get up to the back of Matsik and pass him? Because Matsik is going to want that podium for Butler Powell. I don't believe they've had one so far, and they haven't. Their best position finish has been 5th, both at Spa and at Bathurst. So, yeah, that's been a couple of good results from those guys, but they're going to want to go one better. So we'll see if they can do, really. It'll be great to see them do it, as the other Butler Powell cars really had a pretty disastrous season, not finishing better than 10th, and it doesn't look like they're going to break that today. Yeah, Page now really starting to close on Primavera and Mo all at once, and they're all clumping together. Hopefully we do get to be treated to a 3-car battle towards the end of this race now.
Well, we're getting to the point where we can start to see all 3 drivers in one shot. With, you know, we're talking about a 4-second gap that's separating the 3 of them. Page is going to close in onto Primavera, but I wonder if he's just going to wait and let Primavera close in onto Mikhail Mo before going for the killer move. But right now, Primavera and Mikhail Mo last time around setting pretty much identical times, with Marco Page going a second quicker than the pair of them.
Yeah, he's doing really well right now to be going quite so quickly, but Mo looks like he's just falling off the pace ever so slightly. Although he set his best lap on the previous lap, he is still slower than Marco Pajic by 1 second, as Pajic now really starting to close on Primavera. What can they do to defend from him? That's the real question here. I don't know if he can do anything at this point, because it's just a matter of time right now. We'll see though. Maybe some lap traffic can help him out, and of course there's only 20 minutes to go. 20 minutes is still quite a long time to be holding someone behind you, so it's going to be a tall order from this point, you have to say.
Yeah, it really will be. And just keeping an eye on it, Tiziana Brioni managed to pull half a second out of Philip Matzik that last time round, but it's going to be really close between Brioni and Matzik for third place. Simon Crane, well, he's losing almost a second a lap to Philip Matzik, but again, it was just such an incredible job done by his teammate Miles Dixon in the first stage of the race, and Simon Crane is all set to take that P2 as long as he keeps it on the road. And there you can see Marco Pajic right on the back of Daniela Primavera. 8 tenths of a second is the amount that he took out of Primavera last time round, who in turn took 7 tenths out of Mikkel Mo.
And you can see in the background of these shots as well, the race leader, Luca Schmidt, is closing in on all of these guys. So is he going to try and help his Euronics teammate? He's got a minute ahead of Simon Crane right now, and he's under no pressure whatsoever in terms of this race. So is he going to try and help out his teammate by getting in the way of the number 98 Musto car? Obviously, we don't want any dirty team play, but there still could be a bit of help going on here from Euronics. We'll see if that actually does transpire, but this battle and Primavera starting to drive in his mirrors slightly is really helping Mikkel Mo, because it's allowing him to get in a little bit of breathing space. He needs to take advantage of this. He needs to put in the best lap times of his race so far so that he can get as much distance between himself and Pajic for when Pajic gets through.
Do you remember Max Verstappen in the Toro Rosso back at Monaco? I think it would have been 2015, 2014?
Yes.
Remember how I think it was Lewis Hamilton or Sebastian Vettel, he used them, lapping everyone at Monaco, and just followed them through and gained about 3 places until he met Roman Grosjean, and then there was an almighty crash. I think it was into turn 1.
I only remember the crash. I don't remember the rest of it, to be honest. But, yeah, there you go. There may be a similar thing going on here. It's just the pace difference between these guys isn't actually that much, because don't forget, these guys are really fast as well, Primavera and Pajic. It's just that Schmidt is making everybody look like complete amateurs right now with the way he's going. But the blue flags will be waving, and those guys will be obliged to get out of the way. And of course, Pajic won't want to get in the way of his teammate. He definitely won't want to make any contact with him or get in the way too much. But we've got to remember that Schmidt he's in no hurry to get through here, really. He's got a while to wait, so I think he might just be a little bit patient and wait for Pajic to get through on Primavera, and then he can lap Primavera just to get a little bit more distance between the two.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see how Euronics do play this. Do they let Pajic, just apply the pressure on Primavera, or do they say, Pajic, let Schmidt through, let Schmidt pass Primavera, and then follow Schmidt past? Either way can really work, and maybe they'll just give Pajic a couple of laps before saying, alright, you had your chance, Marco, give over the position to Luca.
Yeah, possibly, but this is not a non-track position, of course.
True.
It is just a lappery going on here. So, a bit of defending, a bit of driving in the middle of the road there from Daniele Primavera, but he brakes well enough, and the thing we've most often seen at that hairpin there, people going wide, and then when you get that cut back, the smoother line, you can get up the inside for the fast right-hander there. Well, Primavera did very well indeed to not overshoot his braking, even though he is definitely looking in his mirrors right now, and his pace is affected. He's not completely messing up his braking zones and the like, so he's driving quite well right now, I have to say, to defend from Pajic, but it's just a question of whether he can do it for another 20 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm running aboard with Luca Schmidt. He's still got about a second between himself and his teammates, so I don't think the blue flags will be coming out just yet. They can probably wait for a lap or so. So still got a bit of a time, but those blue flags will be dropping down fairly soon. Marco Page, where does he try to find the move on Primavera? He's getting really close through the right-hander of the Sunset. Maybe he could have a go into Clubhouse, but no, he's just going to slot in behind. And you mentioned it, Ewan, as well. So many drivers have tried to have a look either into Crocodile or through Cheetah Corner.
Yeah, it's really kind of the main spot we've seen. It does kind of widen abnormally through the Crocodiles. Not really sure why that is a thing, but it does. And it's really allowing some great racing, and it's allowing them to go side by side into that fast right-hander, which is very interesting to see indeed, because it's not as fast as it used to be, of course, when it's this corner and the whole thing was redone. But it certainly is definitely a it is a challenge, and it's proving to be an overtaking opportunity, which is a little bit surprising, but it's great to see these guys attempting it at that point. One thing I didn't have noted throughout the race, though, is a lot of people really getting the run through Sunset and Clubhouse and the S's, but they've just not been able to find a way through. That seems to be where the slower cars are strongest, but everywhere else the faster cars seem to be a little bit better for some reason.
Yeah, and don't forget, Page and Primavera, they're both in the Audi, so, there isn't no different manufacturer advantage, and Mikkel Mo in the Aston might have a little bit more grunt in the Aston Martin on the straights, so maybe he'll find it a little bit easier to defend. And we talked about it in the wet as well, how we were noticing some drivers were much quicker through the low speed corners, finding the traction as well through the likes of Ingwer and Crowthorne, but then struggling a little bit more through the faster speed corners of Sunset and Clubhouse.
Yeah, it's not really where you want to be trying to go through, really, but this battle with Primavera, Page and the like still going on, and still kind of in the same position, only Mikkel Mo is a lot closer to them now, and this is really closing up very nicely indeed. Four very fast cars in very close proximity right now, and a little bit wide from Primavera now, maybe feeling the pressure just for the moment. And also up in third position, Matzik is being caught by Brioni, so it's hard to know where to look at the moment.
Yeah, Brioni still though a couple of seconds behind Matzik, so we've got a few laps before that really starts to heat up, so we can focus on this battle for fifth place. But Primavera's really had the hurry up at 43.6 last time round. Lucas Schmidt is doing the exact same times, and maybe he is just sitting back a little bit, but even if he was going full out, he wouldn't be going that much quicker, maybe 3-4 tenths a lap at most, but it's getting so close, and I think Page ran into the back of Primavera. I'm pretty sure there was a little tap between the two of them. If he kept it out of Primavera's back, well, that was a good job from him, but he caught up so much under the brakes.
Yeah, he did, and catching up a lot on the straight now is Primavera. Is he going to go for this time? Oh, a late move there from Mo. Just as Primavera was starting to pull to the inside, Mo did the same, and now these three really do stack up into turns 3.
Oh, down the inside! What a move! There's contact between the two of them, and Page, is he going to be able to follow through? He gets a great run right on the back of Primavera, all the way up onto the curve, and Primavera squeezes him wide. That's going to be one for the stewards, because Page is not going to be happy with that at all.
No, Primavera was very forceful down there at turn 5. I'm not sure how the stewards will see that one, because that was big contact down at turn number 5. They haven't had much to do so far in this race, but they've got a big job on their hands now to sort out that one. It's been such a great drive from Mikko Mo and Michi Hoyer so far in this season, reviving Burst Esports Day really, considering their main car out of the race, or not even starting indeed. So it's a real shame to see Mo's charge end like that, but we'll see if Primavera is punished for it.
Yeah, okay, so to be perfectly clear from what I saw, that was a great move from Primavera onto Mikkel Mo. Absolutely fantastic. I don't think he did anything wrong there. What he did wrong was when Page, therefore, he got a better run coming out of, I believe it was a barbecue corner, and then we saw Primavera just squeeze him onto the grass. He knew Page was there, and he just forced him off. So that is the big question mark there from the Musto driver.
I think that Primavera, while he was trying to overtake at turn 5, didn't even hit the apex on that corner. He's trying so hard on the brakes, he didn't really hit the apex at all. So I think that was probably his fault, to be honest. He might get a drive-through penalty for that. We'll see if he does indeed get one. But yeah, real shame to see the battle end like that, but of course the battle's not quite over yet because Page is still in behind. About the one of squeezing onto the grass, well, it's never nice to see, but Page wasn't much alongside, to be honest, so I don't know if they can...
It doesn't matter. It's a late move to come across a driver like that. You can't do that. If you're going into the braking zone and you're not alongside, then yes, you would blame Page for not being fully alongside. But you're on a straight. Primavera knows he's there, and he just slams the door shut, and it's not even a corner. So I don't see how Primavera can get away with that without at least a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, we'll see if he does or what he gets for it. But you can be sure they're going to be...
Oh, he's letting him through.
Got the run. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that might just... Well, that might sort it. They might sort the second one, but I still don't know what they're going to do about Mikko Mo's incident, because that one was still quite suspect to me anyway. But Page up into P number 5, and we'll see what happens in the stewards room, and we can stop worrying about that now, because you can be sure Page is going to go up the road and the stewards are going to deal with it themselves.
Yeah, and I am pretty sure Primavera let him through because that was a massive amount of overspeed that Page had for it to have just been a straight up pass. So I'm pretty sure Primavera got the order from Musto, let him through, and if you can, battle him hard and try to find a way through. The questionable thing is Primavera, he has to let through Lucas Schmidt, and he's going to do that. And Lucas Schmidt now, I mean, you can see Lucas Schmidt, he's flashing the lights, he's telling Primavera to get out of the way, and I just wonder, is Schmidt now just going to sit in between Page and Primavera?
I think he quite possibly is right now, but Page is going to... I think he's faster than Primavera anyway, so I don't think they're going to have to worry about that, but yeah, it's smart team play there from the Euronics, and exactly what I thought they were going to do, actually, just get that car in between them once the pass was made. And then that's exactly what they've done. They're just going to fly away now because those Euronics cars have been absolutely phenomenal so far in this race, and there's no signs of them slowing down. Well, they are slowing down a little bit, but so is everybody, so that is understandable. And of course they're in battles right now as well, so it's hard to tell, but it is still closing between Matzik and Brioni. It looks like we're still going to get that battle, and this is incredibly important for the championship because if Brioni gets this position, he is going to tie on points with Burst Esport going into the final 4 rounds of the championship, which is a very exciting prospect indeed. I keep saying it, but it is really true. After being 8 rounds in this championship, up to be tied on points is just shows how good this championship has been this season.
Yeah, and it just feels that every race the championship gets better and better, and we seem to be saying after each race that was the best race of the sprint series we've had, and we're probably going to be saying it again after round 8 here tonight.
Yeah, it's nice to have a bit of weather to shake things up as well. That's been notably absent. I was beginning to wonder actually if it wasn't possible to rain in this series, if we just decided that to turn it off completely, but no, it's definitely a factor, and it could be a factor throughout the next few races. Of course, we're going to Nürburgring, and we are going to Silverstone as well, so the Great British Weather at some point, so the Great British Weather could really wreak havoc with everybody in this season. But yeah, South African weather not really known for being particularly wet, or not to me anyway.
No.
So it could happen at any point, to be honest. Really, we just have to see when it comes and who is most prepared for it. Judging by this performance, you'd have to say that the Euronics are most prepared for the rain and they're most enjoying it as well.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think the German weather is that much better than the British weather. I think you get a lot of rain in Germany, especially in certain parts as well, and I think Nürburgring is in one of those parts, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, it's interesting. The Eiffel Mountains are just unpredictable, aren't they, really? So you could get all 4 seasons in one day there, really. So we'll just have to see which one we get, and that is the round that we're going to have in 2 weeks' time. Don't forget to join us. It's going to be the 19th of August, Wednesday at 7:30. Or actually, we're going to be on air from 7 European time for the pre-race show, probably, and then obviously qualifying at 7:30, and then the race at 8. So make sure you join us for that. It's going to be another fantastic race, and there could be some more weather involved as well, which would be nice to see. But we've had our rain now, and the track's drying, and some of these guys, notably Musto, are going to be very thankful for that.
Brioni right on the back of Philip Matzik. He's closing in. Also, I just want to put something else out there. Lucas Schmidt, 1 minute 10 seconds ahead of Simon Crane. Absolutely flying right now.
Yeah, he's going to tie, if he manages to pass Marko Pizic, he's going to tie the record for the amount of cars on the lead lap. Of course, the first one, as I mentioned earlier on the broadcast, being held by Zolder with just 4 cars. Currently, we've got 5, with Schmidt still behind him, I believe. Actually, no, he's passed him now, so we have now tied the record, but he needs 20 seconds to get up to Brioni, and I don't think even Schmidt is capable of that. And I don't think he really wants to either. It's not a record they're particularly going to be bothered about. It's just a stat that I kind of pulled up there. But Matzik now on the defensive line going into turn 11. And now he looks under pressure from Tiziano Brioni. This is an important moment in the championship. And we could look back on this race and this drive from Brioni as one of the most important in the whole season.
Yeah, we might very well do. 8 minutes remaining. And that equates to something around 5 laps for Brioni to find a way through on Philip Matzik. 2 evenly matched drivers, identical cars, both in the Audis. Can Brioni find a way through?
That's the question. He might end up using that lap car up in front of him. It's one of the Aston Martins. He's in 11th position. It's Matthias Blom in the 766 DSR Nightmare car. Is he going to be able to use him? As a bit, and they both brake very lately, and Braun gets completely out of the way, but Brioni's braking performance there looked absolutely fantastic. He was really able to diagonal off the gun, really get down to the apex very quickly, and that is not good viewing for Butler Pal fans, because that means that Brioni might well be able to do Matzik completely on the brakes if they're alongside each other.
Yeah, and something else to bring up as well is only a further 11 seconds up the road is Simon Crane. Is not going to be enough, but you know, maybe if he does have some tire wear issues, Matzik and Brioni, they could be finding themselves battling for second place, especially if Simon Crane runs a bit wide and picks himself off the time penalty, which is unlikely as we haven't seen many over the course of the season.
No, we haven't seen very many at all, and as we said earlier, the stewards have been notably quiet throughout this race, and that's fantastic. It's kind of surprising as well, given the weather we've had. You'd think that a few more cars might be crashing into each other, and we did have chaos early on. However, it was organised chaos because the stewards saw nothing wrong with it. Nothing was protested, nothing came of any protests we have seen. So, if we did see any, I don't know if we have, but yeah, it's been a quiet day in the stewards room, and that's probably the better way round, because that means no incidents where people are being disadvantaged. Look at that though, Brioni trying to get down the inside into the final corner of Matzik, who had to make a late defence. Now his run onto the front straight is a little bit compromised. You can barely see the Musto car in behind the Butler Powell one, because he's just so tucked in. Now into turn number 1. Is he going to go for this? Matzik just defends ever so slightly, and now Brioni's going to try and go round the outside through turn number 1. He brakes far too late though. He gets off the road a little bit, and he's going to have to try again at some point.
I would think there was contact between the two of them, but that is not going to stop Brioni at all. He's still pretty much on the back of Matzik, and he's gonna be having the hammer down even more than he did before.
And now look at Daniele Primavera as well, because he has been made to give the position back from the stewards to Mikael Mo. And the battle is on down here into turn number 2. He gets down there. He's got a good braking performance on that car, but the undercut was nearly enough for Mo. He couldn't get it done, so Primavera has had to give up the position, and he's got it straight back again.
Fantastic stuff from Primavera, almost reminiscent of Hamilton versus Raikkonen all that time ago. Spa 08, or was it Spa 07? I can't remember. It was one of the two. Absolutely fantastic battles back then between the McLaren and the Ferrari. And now let's see if Mikael Mo can keep the pressure on it. 2 battles are going on in the final 5 minutes of the GTR 24-hour sprint series of Philip Matzik versus Tiziano Brioni and Daniele Primavera against Mikael Mo. What an ending to round 8 of the championship.
This is classic sprint series right now. In the final 5 minutes, things really starting to liven up. At any quiet portions throughout this race, it has just been phenomenal action from start to finish, starting off with the chaos in the rain, and it's going to finish off with a load of battles as we go towards the sunset. As you can see, nearly 7 p.m. local time, and the lights are just starting to become a little bit more prominent as they start to pick out the road in front of them. A little bit wide there from Matzik into turn 2, but nothing doing for Brioni. He's struggling to get away through right now, and this is what happens when you get two cars of the same make nose to tail. It becomes a little bit more difficult to find a way through because the strengths and weaknesses are the exact same. It is down to setup completely and down to the driver, which makes things just a little bit more difficult to try and get through.
Yep, and it doesn't look like Mikael Moser losing a bit of time onto Primavera. Lost over a second.
Brioni's just bumped him ever so slightly, but I think he put on the brakes again just to make sure he didn't do a bump run.
Yep, really good defending from Philip Matzik there, and is spicing up. I think it's time for me to look back over to the main event.
Yeah, it's up here for the podium right now. So, yeah, if Brioni gets through here, he will be level, or they, with Pierluca Masso involved as well, will be level on points with Burst Esports. However, Burst will continue to be P1 in the standings, of course, because they have more wins.
Oh, he's having a look down the inside into the right-hander. Is he going to do it? Super close, but he's not going to be able to. Now they're making their way up the hill into the right-hander of Cheetah. Still behind is Tiziana Brioni. 3 minutes remaining here at Kyalami.
Yeah, he gave it a good go down there at turn 13, but he couldn't get it done because Matzik's traction off the corner was exceptional, and he managed to continue on in that position. He's fighting hard for a podium, which they have sought after this whole season. The best they've managed so far is P5. Can they do it this time? Brioni shows the nose again. He brakes late, but he can't get through again. And this battle just continues to roll on. Just looking for where the race leader is right now. He's just crossed the line. I believe he's got 2 laps to go, so these guys might even have 3 laps to go.
Yep, they will definitely have 3 laps to go unless there is a big contact between the two of them. But into the right-hander of Sunset they go, down into a clubhouse. Still Matzik from Brioni, and Brioni super late onto the brakes, almost runs into the back of Matzik once again. Brioni is so much better on the brakes. How late can he dive Matzik? How far back can he dive Matzik from 1 minute 50 left for round 8 here at Kyalami?
Yeah, it's going to be extremely exciting to find out where he can actually get this done, but on the important corners, Matzik has just got the traction on Brioni, and he can't get close enough. Maybe down here, that last lap was his best opportunity, but it work, and he's not close enough this time, I wouldn't suspect, as they round in towards turn 13. We'll see if he can actually do it, but he is indeed too far back. He closes up. Classic Brioni, he closes up, but he can't get through for now. And yeah, they're both catching Simon Crane. I know it's not going to be enough because Simon Crane is probably taking things a little bit easy right now just to make sure of this podium, but wow, it's been a fantastic drive from him, and it's been a fantastic drive from him.
Here we go.
They are battling really hard, and now Matzik is going to have to really defend on this one. Brioni has been left the inside line.
Oh, he switches!
Outside, and he's gone for the dummy. He goes down to the inside. He brakes late. Can Matzik get this run, though? He's done this every single time so far, but he can't do it this time. He gets the run. He gets more speed. Is he going to go for it at turn? Oh, would be brave. He goes for it down the inside, bit of contact. Brioni's pushed wide, and Matzik gets the position back.
What a battle! What an insane battle in the final moments for round 8 of the sprint series. Brioni and Matzik still battling, and this race is not done yet. They've got this lap and 1 more to go. Brioni's going to close in on Matzik. He's got to know what he's done wrong, and he's going to try to do it all over again. Matzik, though, will know. Brioni will look down the inside into turn 1 as Matzik goes wide through the S's. Brioni's really going to close in as we make our way now down into the hairpin of turn 10.
Yeah, he's going to go to the outside now. We'll see if he can do it on the brakes. He's not going to go for the fake to the inside again, but he looks like he's finally done it. Round the outside through the hairpin. He's got the traction this time, and finally, he is just about through. There he goes. He's finally got his car in front, and that was a lot of trying. Brioni finally gets that position, and that's exactly what he needed to tie on points with Burst Esport in this race. But currently, on the final lap, the race leader, Lucas Schmidt, is finally there. We've seen him out front pretty much all race with the help of his teammate Tim Yarshall, who did a fantastic job in the rain. Schmidt has done a fantastic job in the dry, in the fading light, and now these guys are going to take an absolutely famous victory for Euronics. And yeah, the second victory for those, for the fifth podium in a row for those guys. Here they come again. Lucas Schmidt and Tim Yarshall win for Euronics at Kyalami. Absolutely amazing job from those guys. An interesting thing that's happened here, Philip Mapsik has clearly run out of fuel because he waited for Schmidt to get past him so that he could be lapped, and he didn't have to do the extra lap. He was so close on fuel that he actually couldn't make it in the end, so Mapsik is going to finish fourth whatever happens. He just managed to sneak in front of Page to continue on in his fourth, but he's going to be extremely disappointed he didn't get his podium. And then coming up towards the line now into the final couple of corners, Simon Crane, part of Pulse Sim Sport, partnering Miles Dixon in this race. Team of the day for me, really. A fantastic drive from those guys. We haven't seen this kind of performance from them all season, but they're going to get a second place.
Absolutely fantastic job from Simon Crane and Pulse Sim Sport, and I don't know, Ewan, it is really a fantastic drive from Pulse Sim Sport, but we're talking 1 minute 20 seconds from Lucas Schmidt at the front. Euronics have been on fire tonight, and the same goes for Marco Pajic. And I do not doubt if we had seen the second Euronics team starting on the wet tires, I think they would have got second as well. Yeah. And it was an absolutely fantastic drive that we saw, both from Marco Pajic as well as Leon Otaki, to climb up through the field from dead last to take fifth place. That's also an astounding drive. To be honest, if any of those three teams get team of the day, it would make sense.
Yeah, Euronics absolutely on fire today, and lapped everybody apart from the first three drivers. Of course, themselves, Simon Crane and Tiziano Briani finished on the lead lap. That is a record for this season, and a record that is unlikely to be broken unless Euronics can do that again. 5 podiums in a row now for Euronics, and they move to 21 points behind Burst Esport. Musto GD Esports now tied on points, but Burst Esport continue on in the lead because they have 3 race wins as opposed to Musto's 2. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break now, but on the other side, we're going to have driver interviews. If you're a driver watching this, then come pop yourself in, and we will interview you on the stream. And yeah, make sure you do join us for those, because yeah, we want to hear what the drivers have to say about that quite chaotic and quite brilliant race as well. So we'll be back in a couple of moments after this quick break with post-race reaction from Kyalami.
Games? Do you like esports? Do you hate watching laggy streams of tournaments on 13-inch screens?
Oh my god! Of course you do. But you don't have to worry about that anymore.
He has a jump, son!
Communication. It started out as a conversation between two people, but as time went by and people's needs became greater, they developed more ways to communicate. Businesses today need to minimize incomplete connections. Therefore, it is critical that they provide optimal service. Xilinx Desktop Mobile and web applications can process everything from normal calls and callbacks to chats, emails, and social media inquiries. Let Xilinx liberate your business.
Simplexity is a Danish designer and manufacturer of high-grade sim racing platforms. Their 3 different levels of platforms come in a variety of colors and configurations. Choose from the V4, built from 40 by 40mm extruded aluminium profiles, the V8, built from 80 by 40mm profiles, and the high-tier V12, built from 160 by 40mm extruded aluminium profiles. Prices range from 470 to 750 euros. Go to facebook.com/simplexity.eu and start a messenger chat to inquire more about the options for colors and customization. Welcome back everybody to the GTR24 Sprint Series from Kyalami, where we've just seen a fantastic race from all these guys, taking the victory there in the end from Simon Crane, Tiziano Brioni, Filip Matsik and Marko Pejic, your top 5. But we are currently joined by some of the drivers here. We're going to get a few interviews going here. First of all, going to get Simon Crane in, and we're going to talk to what I would call the team of the day, but a pretty lonely race for you in the end here, Simon. You didn't have a lot of battling, but I guess you had a pretty important job to keep your car on the road and yeah, just keep it in that second position, and the result which must make you and the team very happy indeed.
Yeah, very happy indeed. I think after Miles there for the first stint, a very hard stint, being wet. They managed to get a lot of places on the start due to people messing up, not expecting the conditions. But yeah, Miles did a very good job trying to keep it on the track, and then I managed to hold it together at the end.
Were you guys expecting? Did you know those conditions were going to strike at the start, or were you like? Was that not really on your radar at the front? Well, that's a bit of a pun, isn't it? On the radar, but was that? Did you know about the rain that was going to come, or was that a complete surprise to you when you loaded in?
No, it was a complete surprise. Actually, I was away when it started, so Miles was panicking trying to get the wets up sorted. Yeah, just to change some tyre pressures, but pretty much standard from the dry. And it's just, yeah, I said just try and keep it on the road, stay off the curbs, and then try and gain a few positions from people going off.
And yeah, that's a bit of a question about the setup. What did you go for in the end? Because it was half and half, really. Wet at the start, dry at the end. So how on earth did you balance that? And what did you go for in terms of a setup? Because surely if you'd gone full wet, then you would have been disastrous in the second hour. But if you'd have gone full dry, you would have been disastrous in the first hour. So how did you balance that?
Yeah, once you get going, the only things you can change really is traction control, and with the Aston you have the traction control 2 for the cut. Just turn them up. Turn the ABS up, and you click through it on the brake bias, and that helps. But I mean, normally in the wet, you'd normally change roll bars, cambers, ride height. They change everything on the car basically. But I mean, we took the risk to stick with the dry setup, and it seemed to work in the end. Yeah,
it did, and you held on for P2. Now, looking ahead. Couple of weeks in the future, we're going to the Nürburgring for the GP circuit, unfortunately, for the next race. 2 hours around the Nürburgring GP circuit. Like to ask this to everybody, just to get a feel for what next race is really going to be like. How are you and Miles feeling about that race? Are you looking forward to the Nürburgring, or are you dreading it a bit?
We're looking forward to it. We had a good race there, I think, last month, another championship, and we both finished quite well. It's normally quite challenging track in terms of speed. I mean, hopefully we can get a bit more practice in this time and get a good result. You know, this championship's very hard. There's lots of really good competition in it. So, I mean, even today getting P2 was quite a surprise. But hopefully we can keep up that pace in the next round.
And given the choice, would you like the rain next week as well?
Yeah, rain can come anytime. That helped us today, so hopefully it can help us in the future again.
Alright, thanks to Simon Craig for coming to talk to us. It's been a pleasure, and congratulations on your P2 today. Yeah, phenomenal drive from those guys down there at Pulse Simsport number 52, finishing second place in the end, and finishing just in front of them, by the way, was Musto GD Sports. We were having this very same conversation with Tiziano Brioni last week, and yeah, he was able to take the victory then, taking the third race, wait, hang on, second place. I'm getting my cars mixed up here completely. Apologies for that. Because Euronics took the victory today. It was Laguna Seca and Suzuka where Musto took their victories. But a third place for Tiziano Brioni, as I finally get my bearings right here, for you guys. So just talk us through what happened in the first hour, Tiziano. Obviously you weren't driving, but Amato seemed to be struggling just a little bit. Not really quite as quick in the wet as you were in the dry. What would you say is your explanation for that? Were you going with a dry setup, or was Amato not comfortable in the car? What was really going on in the first hour?
Basically, we didn't do one lap into the wet in this track, and for Pierluca was the first lap in the wet of all time. Never do laps into the wet before this race, so I think that he did a really good job, considering that I gave to him some tips real time, because he was a little bit out of his environment, so I think that he did a really good work, apart from all, and I am so happy for his work. Maybe with one less spin we would be able to arrive in second position, but I think that third position with our rivals with a 0, I think that is a really good amount of points to go into the ring.
Yeah, it's of course that coming up in 2 weeks' time. How was it coming through the field? Because obviously Amato lost a few positions in the first hour, but you had to do a lot of the work coming back through the field, and it wasn't without its trials and tribulations. So how was the battling on this new Kyalami circuit, which I've never seen race before in a sim? So how was it for you, trying to battle with all the cars?
Battling was so good. I did some really good overtakes, especially the last with Ricciardo move, and the first one with Mo, I think, was good too, with a really late break on the hairpin of the second sector. And battling was so good, so much lines to overtake, not so hard to follow the car in front. I think that with a full slick race, with more rubber and more better tires, because were a little bit suffered a little bit of grain, so with better tires I think that this track is really good for battling.
Yeah, it certainly seems so, and because it was in the second hour, we saw most of it, which was very good indeed. Now, you talked about the points a little bit earlier on. You now tie with Burst Esport. Obviously, you're still second because of the countback and whatever, but that doesn't really matter at this stage. You're level on points with Burst Esport, so how do you feel about that going into the final 4 races, and can you take the championship from here?
Yeah, now we are with the same points, I think, because they did a 0. So for now is to arrive basically at the last race with mindset that is think race for race and without calculations, because I think that we are 5 races left, so this is the final rush, so we have to work hard, and we try to take the win of the championship, considering that there is a good prize pool, and we try to do all we can for arrive in the first position at the end.
Yeah, of course, €1,500 on the line for the championship. And yeah, just one final question, as I like to ask to everybody. How are you feeling about the Nürburgring GP race in 2 weeks' time? Do you like the circuit? Are you feeling good about it, or are you dreading it a little bit?
Yeah, I think that is a good track for us, because I raced 2 times into this game in that track, so it's more confident than Kyalami, because I told that this track was new for me and doesn't fit to my driving style, so I think that third position is so good. In the ring, I am so confident. The only point that is a little bit danger is the last chicane, where you have to be so I don't remember the word, so I don't remember, but you have to be a little bit more slower, clever to avoid too much bump and maybe result in a spin. So I think that would be a good race for us.
Alright, well, we look forward to seeing it. See you in 2 weeks, Tiziano Brioni, and well done on P number 3 here in the Kyalami race.
Bye bye, guys.
There was Tiziano Brioni of the Musto team, of course, now tying the championship as we have mentioned. Now, moving on to P4, just off the podium for Philip Mapsik in the end, for the Butler Pal Audi in the end. It was a great battle, but you weren't able to hold on. Are you a little bit disappointed not to get on the podium, or are you pretty pleased with P4, because that's your best result all season?
Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed, of course. But the main issue was we miscalculated fuel. We thought we could drive flat out, and I had to against Brioni. We have some sort of chance. But then we were like 1.1 liters or something short to make it to the end, as we had to do 1 lap more than we thought. And yeah, that was it really. So in the last lap, I fought until the end, but in the last lap I had to drop back and let the leader pass to make it across start finish.
Yeah, so you did slow down to let the leader through, so you didn't have to do the extra lap. Is that
yep.
Is that correct? Yeah. So yeah, bit of fuel drama at the end. But just talk us through your battle with Brioni, because it lasted about 20 minutes. It was very entertaining to watch. So how was it to take part in?
Yeah, pretty exhausting, I have to say. I was pushing to get all out of the car that's possible, basically. So before the race, we changed ride height. So we added some ride height to be better in rain and don't have that much aquaplaning, which helped a lot at the start. So Johannes was, I think, fastest car on track in some laps. But in the end, in dry conditions, it really cost us. And I could see Brioni had way more grip in corners and especially on the brakes. So that was really tough.
And just talking for the rest of the season, we've got 4 rounds to go, of course. The championship's going to wrap up in just under 2 months' time. So what do you hope to achieve in that time? Do you hope that you'll get a podium by that point? And if so, where do you think that's going to come? Which circuit do you think that is going to be the most likely to break onto the podium?
We hope for a podium, of course. Circuit-wise, I'm not sure. I think it doesn't really matter. We need to get the setup right and so on, of course, and choose the right car BOP-wise, but then if we have a smooth race, it should be possible.
Right, and will that come in 2 weeks' time? That's the big question. How are you feeling about the Nürburgring?
I hope so. Would be great for our team to get it at the Nürburgring, because it's like home race. So, like our team base is located at the Nürburgring, basically, from the real team as well. So that would be a great track to get our first podium on, for sure.
Yeah, it would. It definitely would to do it on home turf in this series. Well, Philip, thank you very much for coming to talk to us. A very good drive from you guys to get into P4 today. Even if it wasn't the podium that you guys were hoping for, still a good drive. So thanks for coming up to talk to us, and congratulations on today.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
And thank you to all of the drivers who come and joined us here today. Simon Crane, Philip Matzik and Tiziano Brioni have all come and spoke to us. That's very, very kind of them indeed. So, yeah, we've got to say a massive thank you to them. One final word then from Yusuf before we go. He is still there. I'm glad about that. And just one final word from you. A very good race today, actually. I don't know about race. I think Suzuka might just about take race of the season, but it was nice to get a bit of weather to spice things up today.
Oh, we definitely got some weather. It definitely spiced it up. We got some almighty battles from the very start of the race to the very end of the race. And, you know, this is a battle that we could be going back to at the end of the season, talking about how this one move that Tiziano Brioni made won Musto the championship. So, yeah, an absolutely phenomenal race. And I hope we do see some more weather shenanigans at later points in the season.
Yeah, I do hope so as well. That will be fantastic to see. We'll see if it comes in 2 weeks' time at the Nürburgring. You'll have to join us to come and find out if it does, of course. We'll be back on the 19th of August for that race, and then a few days later we'll be there for the 24 Hours of Matsusaka, which is going to be a very good race indeed for the EEWC. Very excited about that one, even if I won't be there to actually commentate on it, or the most of it anyway. It's still going to be a great race, and I'll try and see what I can from it. But yeah, make sure you at home do join us for those events, and make sure you join us in a couple of weeks' time as well. Of course, Wednesday at 7 p.m. European time, that's 6 p.m. UK time, real time. So yeah, make sure you do join us for them. But we will see you in a couple of weeks when we head to the Nürburgring. You've been watching the GTR24H Sprint Series from Kyalami, and we will see you in a couple of weeks' time. Bye for now.
Do you like games? Do you like esports? Do you hate watching laggy streams of tournaments on 13-inch screens?
Oh my god!
Of course you do. But you don't have to worry about that anymore.
He has a jump, son!
Simplexity is a Danish designer and manufacturer of high-grade sim racing platforms. There are 3 different levels of platforms come in a variety of colors and configurations. Choose from the V4, built from 40 by 40 mm extruded aluminium profiles, the V8 built from 80 by 40 mm profiles, and the high-tier V12 built from 160 by 40 mm extruded aluminium profiles. Prices range from 470 to 750 euros. Go to facebook.com/simplexity.eu and start a messenger chat to inquire more about the options for colors and customization.
Communication. It started out as a conversation between 2 people, but as time went by and people's needs became greater, they developed more ways to communicate. Businesses today need to minimize incomplete connections. Therefore, it is critical that they provide optimal service. Xilinx desktop, mobile and web applications can process everything from normal calls and callbacks to chats, emails, and social media inquiries. Let Xilinx liberate your business.
I'm running away from this
Yeah.
pain. I'm trying to find a new way where the sun's shining down on my face.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm running away.
Yes.
You're in a toxic.
You sound like you're in someone's dungeon.
I thought you were in my house.
Time to be free.
It literally sounds like you're leaning behind us and whispering into our ear.
What the fuck is going on?
Quite amusing, to be honest.
Oh god. Well, that screwed over my voice a little bit.
You quite understand it.
Also, I think I've got some showreel material from one of the battles right at the end.
Probably.
Oh my god. Also, like, on the last lap, Primavera was still battling with Mikkel Mo as well, and then Mikkel Mo just...
Oh, were they?
Yeah. Yeah, it is good. It's so nice to watch the replays in full color.
I don't have a clue who's who. I need to see this.
I'm running away from this
Oh,
pain.
that was a save and a half.
I'm trying to find a new
I reckon he
way
shot himself there.
where the sun's shining down on my face. I'm running away. You're in a
I mean, it wouldn't help us.
Just
Anyway,
need
we
the
got...
tire graphic on the left hand side. On the hood it does, yeah.
Yeah, that's just because they've got really good internet connection. Yeah. I live out in the States, so I'm not getting more downloads. Unless I literally get fiber optics somehow. Also, I want to see the bit where he shoves him out onto the grass because... Yeah. That was dirty. I mean, the last lap battles between... Oh, who was it? Brioni and... Yeah.
Well, you saw that guy came in right at the end, and so, well, yeah.
User disconnected from your channel.
Fair. But yeah, like, to be honest, in my opinion, it has to be social media. Like, it just has to be active, like, every day or 2 days, posts going out about stuff. Like, even if it's just, like, responding to people's tweets and stuff. Do we have a social media manager? Because I was going to say, I know a few social media managers and I can ask them if they're interested. Okay. Payment. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, the ones that I know are used to doing unpaid stuff anyway, so... But, yeah. Are you just using are you just using OBS replay buffer? Nice.
Peter. For some reason I couldn't reach share from when I actually maximized the window. Yeah, maybe that's the reason. Because it looked like... Yeah, it was because I needed to do it manually. I think the problem right now is that people are not on webcam. It's not like people want to see faces commenting. Yeah, it could be. Definitely. Yeah.
If I do get a social media person, who should I tell him to contact? You, Peter, or John?
Let's start with me.
Okay.
Because Peter is busy with this stuff, and I think that I have a little better time. I have a little bit better time of instructing him of what I actually need him for. Oh. Yeah.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, I have 45 minutes back and forth to my work as well, so. And overtime a lot, actually. Basically the entire time in the data center for the moment. Yeah. That's how things are right now. So tomorrow I'm going to the dentist as well. I'm going to drive for an hour then. So.
Oh, that switcheroo from on the inside from Violi was beautiful. Oh, so good.
My god. I enjoyed that a lot. That fight was amazing. So, users, are you excited by going to the studio?
Dude, I'm like buzzing. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to survive doing the next cast because after that commentary, literally after that, I'm driving up to a friend's in London and then gonna stay there the night and get the plane the next morning.
Yeah, great idea. So you don't have to travel that much to get to it that early in the morning. It was like. It's not really easy to get a flight now because of all this COVID-19 stuff. But the funny thing is actually the flights are pretty cheap. I could take a flight from Copenhagen about 1,500. That's like 180 pounds. No, that's actually too much. Yeah, something like 180 pounds back and forth to New York from Copenhagen.
Jesus.
That's the prices right now.
Right, I need to see how much it costs to go to like Japan or Australia or something.